Hey, happy Tuesday. The Wise Guys are back. Dave McCann and Blaine Fowler. We hope you've had a great week. I know you've had a great week. How's everyone in Jamaica? They good?
They said for me to tell you hello. And,
Yeah.
and hey, Jamaica is still, it's all about sun and sand. And no, we had a phenomenal time. We went out paddleboarding, and I'm a big enough person to admit that Brenda challenged me to tennis.
Yeah, which you shouldn't have accepted.
No, which I shouldn't have accepted because we all know she's a better tennis player than I am.
Right.
We played 2 sets. It was 90 degrees and 95% humidity, and she won 6-4, 6-4.
Yeah. That's who I had to bet on.
Yeah, and then she makes me run from one side of the court to the other side. And I'm just trying to get it back, and I'm hitting it back to her. And then so finally, in the second set, I just stopped running over there, and she said, "Are you not even?"
What do you mean? You just stopped moving?
Well, if she hit it where I couldn't, I got tired of running after the ball, and she said, "You're not even going to try."
That's called pool now. You went from tennis to pool in the same game.
She said, "You're not even going to try," and I said, "If that's how you're going to hit it, I'm not going to try."
Yeah.
Like, if you want to actually have a good match, then hit it back to me.
So you became a poor sport?
Yep.
All right.
And she still won 6-4, 6-4.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you made it back safely. As you can see, we've got extra seats here.
Yes, exciting.
It's like family dinner, and half of the family hasn't shown up yet. Well, they're here, and Marie Osmond's going to be sitting right here. And there
that's
he is.
Marie. You just heard her.
Robbie Bosco is going to be sitting right over there.
He's on his way. He just texted me.
And later in the show, Marie is going to interview Robbie, and
Yes.
Steve Young helped write some of the questions. Yeah. And then we're just here to try and make sure that things don't go off the rails.
If it really goes off the rails, it's our job to bring it back.
We are going to try to hold this together. And Steve Craig's here, Marie's husband, and this is kind of, we've never disclosed where our studio is.
No, and we're still
but
not.
This is back in the hood for them.
Yeah.
From many
it's back in
years ago.
It's in the hood for all of us. From a long time ago. Steve and Marie and I and Robbie and Steve Young and all of us were here at school at the same time together back when Provo seemed like a small town. So, it's like kind of like a family reunion. It really is.
We just finished up after further review over on BYU TV. We broke down a lot of guys. Ben Bywater,
yes.
Big year coming up. Jacob Conover, Pepe Tanavasa. Isaac Rex. We spent a lot of time on Isaac, and you can watch it again on the BYU TV app anytime. But we've also been watching Isaac in practice. He's coming back from that brutal ankle injury.
Yeah.
Do you expect him to be in the starting lineup on September 3rd?
I do, and what's happened with Isaac is they're giving him limited play count. So when practice starts, he has a certain number of plays that he can be involved in, and they keep track of it. Literally, they keep a tally. Yeah. When he hits that number, he's done for the day, just to make sure that they bring him along slowly and he doesn't re-injure it or aggravate it. And then each day he gets a few more plays. So Isaac told us that this next week, so game week, we're 2 weeks away, he's full go, full reps, ready to go. And he has looked good, so let's go.
That's big.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, he's got All-American potential, and he's a complete mismatch for most teams because it's 6'6" and those long, like he looks like go-go gadget arms. We watched on AFR. If you didn't see AFR today, make sure you go to on your app and download it and watch it again. If he's one-on-one on our safety or corner, he's open.
Yep.
You can't guard him.
So we love Tuesdays because we tape after further review, and then we come over here and we do our show. For Marie, that would be like she does the Donnie and Marie show in the afternoon and then just comes over and does the Marie show in prime time.
I had to go from the AFR taping right to taping the BYU radio podcast for 30 minutes and then come to this today.
Were you interesting? Did you make it good?
No.
Well, no, I can't wait to listen to that. Sounds riveting.
I tried to be as best that I could, Dave.
All right, let's tease the show. It's a week of fine-tuning at BYU. Coming up tonight, our assessment of the team's first fall scrimmage, which was back on Saturday, and what happens between now and kickoff at South Florida on September 3rd.
Yeah, the preseason AP Top 25 is out, and BYU's in it. Not quite where we thought they would be. We've had a day to digest this. We'll break it down with what we like and don't like about it. And I'm just going to say there's not much I like about it. The only thing I like about it is that they're in it. So we'll break it down.
World-class entertainer and BYU football fan Marie Osmond's live in our studio. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of questions, a lot of similarities between performing on stage and on the football field, and we're going to tie them all together tonight.
I can't wait to talk to her about
And
how
if you have a football question for Marie, by the way, just get on our thing and
focus.
Send it in to us.
I think that's something that's universal. I can't wait to talk to her about that. Like, the bigger the moment, how do you focus?
Yeah.
Because athletes have to do that. If the quarterback can't do that, if the point guard can't do it, if the entertainer up on stage can't do it, you're lost.
Like, how do you even...
She's had to do that thousands and thousands and thousands of times, so she can relate. I'm
How
interested
do you
to see
remember
how
the
you do
words?
this.
Let's say you go out there in front of a football stadium and you've got some songs to sing, and we just assume you're just going to always remember the words, but sometimes we'll get there and you might forget the route you're supposed to throw to, or we might forget what's going on in a game.
And you know what happens when you're playing quarterback and you forget what you're supposed to do?
Something not good.
You get sacked. You get smacked in the face.
Speaking of quarterbacks.
Yeah, let's talk about quarterbacks. National champion quarterback Robbie Bosco is also in studio tonight. Marie's going to interview him.
Yes, she is.
With a little help from Super Bowl MVP Steve Young. I talked to Steve this week, and he gave us some questions to help us out on this that he passed along to Marie. So look out. This is going to be fun. By the way, Robbie and I were roommates in the dorms together as freshmen.
Oh, yeah.
He lied to me and told me that he was going to be really fun and be a party guy.
Like on our show tonight or just in general?
And I lied to him and told him that I was really quiet and all I wanted to do was study.
Right. And you lied to your supervisors that you'd be in by curfew. So
no, hey,
it goes all the way.
Our dorm room was the model dorm room when Sister Pierce was her name. We called her Sister Fierce because when she took her teeth out, she looked fierce.
Sure, she did.
But Sister Fierce, the dorm mother, when parents would come, she wouldn't take them to their own kids' room. She'd bring them to our room because it was so clean she couldn't believe it.
Wow.
So we were model dorm mates.
New York Jets are breathing a sigh of relief tonight after Zach Wilson's knee surgery earlier today. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll break that down. That's my other job. I play a doctor during the week.
That's right.
So, and also had on the show, it's the first day of roster cuts in the NFL. We'll update you on the former Cougars trying to make teams, where you can watch them this week and when you can watch them this week, but more importantly, who's still in and who's out.
Yeah. Marie's going to join us in about 6 minutes. We're going to give everybody time to log on, and you can hit the purple Twitch button at the bottom. That'll send you to where you can sign up for a free Twitch account, which will then allow you to engage with us, can ask us questions and all of that stuff.
We see a lot of you on board already, and that's. Someone was saying that Marie's screaming in the background. Awesome. So you got thumbs up on that one, Marie. And BYU Sports Addict said this is a fun idea. I love it. So
we're going to give it a shot and have some fun. All right, let's do our countdowns as we do each week. 11 days until the first college football games. 2 BYU opponents are on the week 0 schedule for August 27th. Utah State hosts UConn. That should be an easy win for the Aggies. Yep. Wyoming's at Illinois. I don't know who's going to win that one.
Yeah,
you never know with Illinois.
And Wyoming's been pretty good the last couple of years. Hey, one of the things we will mention about the top 25. We'll cover it later. But I was gonna say 4 BYU opponents are ranked. Utah State's not ranked, but I would not be surprised if Utah State's ranked before the end of the season. And I would not be surprised if Boise State, who is not ranked, isn't there. So if it all pans out, BYU could play 6 ranked teams this year. That's a schedule like none other for BYU. It's pretty impressive.
It'll be great.
So 18 days until BYU's season opener at South Florida on September 3rd. We'll be there for you with countdown to kickoff 2 hours prior to kickoff, and the Cougs will be ready to play in Raymond James Stadium down there.
Hello from Southwest New Mexico. Does that sound like Larry King? Hello, Southwest New Mexico.
Yeah,
Thank you for being on with us.
So
25 days until the home opener against Baylor on September 10th. And so we're expecting some F-15s to fly over. We'll get more details on that next week. We're gonna break a squadron leader. Heyman comes in and talks to us about that. 6 days until our Wise Guys watch party, the Falcons and the Jets on ESPN. That's Monday, August 22nd, 6 p.m. So we know Algiers going to play. Zach's out.
He's healthy. Zach's out, which is
so
really
maybe we'll just do it for first half or something.
Yeah,
a little watch party.
We'll keep you guys posted on what we're going to do with that one. Falcons and the Jets on ESPN, but to be with us on wiseguys.com and Twitch to we'll break the game down as it's going on. Watch it with us.
All right, 5 minutes until Marie Osmond. Let's get into our Wise Guys headlines. DJ, will you fire up some of that video? Football practice, another workout today. Scrimmage was back on Saturday. No injuries in the scrimmage, which is good news. No season injuries so far in camp. There's Kalani Sitake coming in. So Jaron Hall.
How does a man with a baby that young look that refreshed again?
He's like Superman.
Yeah, he's
Superman.
He is Superman.
Here come the Cougars. They wanted to get a lot of work in with some younger players.
Yeah.
So like Jaron Hall was in on 25 plays. Chris Brooks, a few carries.
Yeah. So the headliners didn't play. Puka Nacua, Dallin Holker, Gunnar Romney, Keenan Peely. So we're talking about bona fide stars that know. Like, do we really need to see if Keenan Peely can tackle?
No.
So those players were held out for precautionary reasons. Just keep them healthy. That's part of the goal of camp. So
Kalani said afterwards it was give and take on both sides. He was happy with how things went. He said he's really happy with the talent on this team across the board.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because you always hear about BYU and people say, well, they're just so fundamentally good. They're so physical up front. Man, if they just had the speed in the back end and a wide receiver to match up with some of these teams. I'm telling you right now, we got to stop saying that because that's not a true statement any longer. BYU's secondary is as fast as any in the country, and these freshman corners they brought in, these guys can flat out fly. And you've got two on each side. So you've got 4 corners right now, all with NFL talent that can all run with any corners in the country. And I'm talking any corners in the country at any place.
Jaron Hall said after the scrimmage, our defense is the best defense I've gone against in my 5 years at BYU.
Yeah, and that tells you about the kind of team speed on that defense. You got 3 NFL backers, maybe 4, and the D-line is really coming in. You know, Kalani mentioned it was give and take. The defense thinks that they won that scrimmage on Saturday, and I'm not saying I'm biased, but I do have a defensive coach that lives at my house, and he said the defense had a really, really good day. So, keep Jaron healthy is a really, really important aspect of what they're doing, not just during fall camp.
Yeah, but it should be like every day,
Yeah.
24 hours.
So Cougar Stats tweeted out that since 2009, only 2 BYU quarterbacks have started every game for an entire season. Taysom Hill did it in 2013, and Zach Wilson did it in 2020. So Taysom went 8-5. He faced 7 P5 opponents. Zach went 11-1 during that COVID year when all 6 of their P5 games got canceled, and they just put a schedule together and kind of were the talk of the country. BYU is going to face 5 P5s this fall.
Yeah.
And remember, Jaron Hall went 6-1 against a P5 foes last year.
Right.
So
And BYU is a P5, so they're fighting their peers.
So, hey, I don't even worry about that. And after last season when BYU won the Pac-12,
The South, at least.
what do you mean? They won the Pac-12.
I guess they won the whole
They
thing.
beat the Pac-12 South champ who won the Pac-12.
That's true.
Does that-
Never trailed against those guys.
What was their record in the Pac-12?
5-0.
They were 5-0,
Undefeated.
and they beat the South champ who went on and won the championship.
Yeah.
They won the Pac-12
Pretty
championship
good.
last year, I
That
think.
is pretty good. Blake Freeland, 6'8", 305-pound junior left tackle. He might be bigger than that. Named All-America First Team by The Athletic.
Yeah, so now you've got up front, you've got All-American preseason honors for Blake Freeland, and you also have All-American preseason honors for Clark Barrington at that left guard. How about that left side of BYU's offensive line? Both big-time NFL prospects.
Just run to the left.
One draft expert had Blake Freeland as the number 1 offensive lineman taken in the draft and projected him as the number 5 pick. He's a freak. Like, if you watch him on film, 6'8", 305-pound guys are not supposed to run and move like that. But you've got to remember, this is a guy that played quarterback in high school.
Yeah.
He was a 6'7",
Amazing.
240-pound quarterback in high school.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable skill set. And people just – guys that big aren't supposed to be able to move like that, but he can, and that makes him a very, very special commodity.
And Chris Brooks can't wait.
Yeah. Get behind those two
that
guys.
line.
On 3rd and 1, I say run behind those two guys.
Absolutely. Or run to the other side because they're just as big over there.
Exactly.
The AP Top 25 poll is out. BYU's number 25.
Boo.
Future Big 12 members, Houston and Cincinnati, are just ahead of them. But let's look at it real quick, and then we'll get Marie on here in a couple of minutes. Alabama's number 1. They open against Utah State, who BYU will host in Provo.
Maybe
and then
a better game than you think.
Ohio State's number 2. They're going to open against Notre Dame.
That's a great
big
game.
one.
That's a great first week game. Georgia opens against Oregon. That's another great cross country rivalry. That should be a great one because Oregon's, got a lot of preseason publicity. They're 11 in this poll.
I don't know if Clemson should be number 4, but they got Notre Dame at 5, Texas A&M at 6.
Overrated. You're doing that.
I don't think they weren't that good last year.
Yeah.
Utah's 7. That's too high, I think.
They've got a lot of production back, and they were good, and they won the Pac-12 last year.
And their strength of schedule is 106.
Yeah, so they're going to win a lot of games. So who knows? Yeah.
Then you got Michigan, Oklahoma. How about Baylor sitting at number 10?
Yeah, Baylor's at BYU September 10th for the home opener. That's going to be a great revenge match. And Baylor's going to be a big time rival for BYU in the future in the Big 12.
And then next to Baylor,
Yeah, you've got Oregon, who BYU plays
the following week
at home. So they have 10 and 11 coming into Provo in back-to-back weeks.
Actually, we'll go to Eugene. So we go to Eugene on the 17th.
Right. Sorry, I got that note wrong.
But at Baylor at home, and then Oregon.
How about back-to-back preseason top 11 teams? So, and they play Notre Dame, who's number 5. So 3 top 11 teams, and
Arkansas's 19, and they're at BYU on October 15th.
Right. And like as I mentioned, I think that at some point you'll see either Utah State or Boise State, if not both, ranked at some point this season. They've got a lot of talent coming back, so they can win a bunch of games. And how about that for BYU's schedule? That's going to be fun. BYU 25th. How does a team that finished in the top 15 and returns the most production of any team in the country this season not ranked in the top 15 preseason?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
how's USC ranked 14th? They went 4-8 last year.
It's preseason bias and I think it's P5 bias, a little bit of East Coast bias, but that all goes away when BYU gets into the Big 12 next year, and they go out and win a Big 12 championship, and they have a bunch of people coming back. Nobody will question them. They'll be a top 10 team. So first college football playoff poll, the big one, that'll be released on November 1st. Selection Sunday is December 4th on ESPN. So there you go. That's the poll. Let's see if we can have Marie come in. She was ready before.
Yeah. She's been in our green room.
Come on in, Marie.
How's our green room?
This is great.
I have to give you a hug.
So while Marie's settling in,
Over there, and I'm like, look.
it's a weekly gun show. We should get those sponsored. Is what we should do.
Marie's gonna help me get rid of the gut, though. That's what she told me.
Well, she's got.
The gun, you
So-
get rid of the gun.
And Marie was nicer. I told you guys. My wife said if I want to lose 15 pounds, cut off my head, and that would be 15 pounds of ugly fat.
Yeah, that's not true. Come on.
Marie was nicer and said.
Brenda's never said that.
She was nicer and said, "I can help you lose that belly fat." So I think the key exercise, we've talked about this before. I do a lot of bench and curls and all this stuff, Marie. But the thing that I need to do is push-aways. Push away from the refrigerator. Push away from the cupboard.
You've never heard that before.
Especially at 11 o'clock at night, my push-aways. I've been neglecting my push-aways.
Well, that's okay. Just give yourself a cutoff date.
There you go.
Or a time. Just say after 7 o'clock, push away.
Our first guest is known for her singing, acting, dancing, writing, fundraising, mothering, grandmothering, and for surviving 8 brothers.
Oh, my goodness.
Also the only person to ever appear on The Wise Guys who has starred in her own Super Bowl commercial, 2003 for Pepsi Twist. She's a former BYU student, longtime BYU fan, and it's our pleasure to welcome Marie Osmond to the show.
Okay, you guys, this is so exciting. I don't hear me.
Yeah, let's get you.
Let's get DJ to hit that.
DJ, can you get this?
See, that's the
There you
showbiz
go.
in me. Oh, well, there we
There
go.
you go.
Okay.
You have to be heard.
Okay, you guys, seriously, when you asked me to do this,
Yeah.
I told my manager, Greg, you know Greg Sperry.
Yes,
we know.
yeah.
I said, are you kidding me? In all the years that I have done interviews, and we're talking thousands, okay?
Oh, yes.
I have never done one like this before. Nobody's ever wanted to know my sports mind.
Well, you've come to the two right guys.
So this show, Marie, and we're just getting going on it, but as you know, Dave and I have been covering BYU on television for better part of 30 years
Right.
together. And,
I know.
And we just thought, let's bring together the largest group of BYU fans in the world on a global podcast, global live stream
That's
basis.
so cool.
And then when we just thought, Marie's part of the history of BYU too. We were all here together, and Dave's like, we should have Marie on. I'm like, we absolutely should have Marie on. That would be so fun.
Hey, Lady Marie from Colorado says, hello, Marie. Coming to the show Saturday night over in
Oh,
Oregon.
boy. Yeah, we're doing it at Sierra.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I'm going to have an orchestra there, my band, outdoors, have a few surprises, kind of exciting.
That's cool.
That's
And
good stuff.
the thing is it's daytime. And so you can't bring the kind of production that you would normally bring, but we're going to bring the music and the fun and the laughter.
It'll be awesome.
And I don't do a lot of these, but it'll be fun. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that.
Look, 2003. Let's go back to 2003.
Now we're talking sports and
I know.
stuff,
I
fun
don't-
stuff.
Tampa Bay's playing Oakland in the Super Bowl. And you have a commercial that airs during the game for Pepsi Twist. Do you remember that?
I sure do.
Now, I had to Google Pepsi Twist.
There
That's
it
what it
is.
looks like for those who are watching. It's
we got-
Pepsi with a little twist of lemon.
Yes. And the idea of the commercial was that the Osmonds turned into the Osbournes, and
Like
the
Ozzy and
Osbournes
everybody?
unzipped, and there was Donnie and Marie.
Oh, my gosh.
And then Ozzy went crazy, and then it was my idea at the very end to have him wake up and say Sharon, and it was Florence Henderson.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh, that is. But
Go to YouTube, you can find it.
I mean,
yeah.
everybody, people watch the Super Bowl for the ads.
Oh, I know.
I mean, because
the commercials are the best.
it's so much more entertaining because the game's typically not that great.
Well, I love the games.
So, when we got Steve Young playing,
Yeah.
when Steve was getting he had that giant monkey on his back.
I agree.
When Steve got that monkey off his back and the Niners won with him in the controls, like that game, I was okay if the Niners won by 100.
Yeah.
But most games we watch, they're not as competitive as one. A lot of people
No.
watch it for the ads.
So they come to you and they say, hey, we want you to do a Super Bowl ad. Did you have a concept of, well, that's a pretty big deal?
Yeah, I said, let me think about it. Yes.
And how was Ozzy all the way back then? This was just a few years ago, back to 2003.
Basically the same.
So did you get to go to the Super Bowl that year because you had an ad at the Super Bowl?
No, actually, we didn't. I can't remember what I was doing, but I knew I had something to do. But I watched it. I always watch it.
Well,
yeah.
we think it's cool that you were in a Super Bowl
Yeah.
ad.
That's
next
that's-
level.
Is that like make my thing with you? Is that like cool?
It brings you into everything that
It gives
we've
you-
dreamed of.
With the sports fans, it gives you street cred, right?
Yeah.
As big as it could get. That's
Yeah,
street
it's
cred.
pretty cool.
Well, I was on a Super Bowl ad, so there you go.
So you're a student at BYU back in the heyday. At Jim McMahon's quarterback, Steve Young, Danny Ainge, Steve Craig on the
My
basketball
husband.
team, Devin Durant, Tina Gunn was lighting it up.
Love Tina Gunn.
Women's hoops. Wally Joyner's over playing baseball with Ricky Aguilera and Marie Osmond.
Corey Snyder was there
Corey
at that
Snyder.
time
Yeah,
too.
Corey was there.
Corey was there.
What
with
is the
us.
vibe on campus back
I know,
then?
right? Crazy. I mean, it was like BYU was on fire. The campus in all sports. I mean, it was amazing. And so to be there during that time, it was kind of like the heyday, the '80s, the cool years.
Miami
We
Vice
all
was
know-
on TV.
We all know those, right?
Yeah,
Those were the cool.
those were glory years.
Dave's a little younger than us, Marie, but not
But I'm
much.
catching up.
Wait, how old are you?
55.
Oh, please.
Yeah, exactly.
He's still older than me.
So I've heard all your songs. But
Sometimes I have to remind him of what's real.
my first concert was when the Osmonds played at the Marriott Center. It was
Oh,
back
yeah.
during the Crazy Horses was the big song.
That's right.
And
It was
that
the
was my
hit- it
first
was
rock
on-
concert. I thought it was awesome. And then we saw Journey and some of those others in the
Yeah.
arena
Hey,
over the
they
years.
used to bring back in our day in the '80s. They brought big bands into the Marriott Center. All
Oh, they
the
brought
time.
everything.
Yeah.
That's
They-
the one thing I loved about BYU is it was all the arts. I mean, it was sports, arts, everything. It was the best.
And Marie, you knew Kyle Whittingham and the Whittingham clan back in those days when Kyle was there, the head coach at Utah now. I lived at the Whittingham's house. Robbie also lived up there at one time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Robbie Bosco did. Where's Robbie? Not here yet.
He's not
He's
here?
coming. He's coming.
Okay.
But anyhow, he lived up there as well. And
No, Steve was just saying yes.
yeah, Journey was in at the Marriott Center, and we were sitting up there lamenting that.
And Brian Adams was a
Yeah,
warm-up band.
You're right. Brian Adams was warm up for.
It was
Journey.
great.
And
Best
we didn't have
concerts
ever.
tickets. Didn't have tickets. And Nancy Whittingham, Kyle's mom, Big Fred's wife, she comes in and says, "What are you guys sulking about?" And we're like, "Well, we don't have Journey tickets. We don't have any money. We wanted to go." She goes, "Have you guys not learned? Dress up right now. Get dressed. Look like respectable. We're going down there. You just follow me. We will walk right into that place." We're like, "Are you serious right
love
now?"
her.
She says, "Yeah, that's what we will do." And we go, "Okay." So she walks us, she just looks right at the guy, waves at him, says, "Come on." We walked right into the Marriott Center and stood on the concourse and watched the Journey concert because we acted like we knew what we I've been doing that ever since. I've figured out if I put a suit on and a little makeup, I can walk into any sporting event in
Well,
the country or any event
Then
in
you
the
can be
country.
an entertainer because you just pretend you know what you're doing. No.
I might walk into the Sarah Shell and watch.
Well, just try
and
it.
watch-
Just-
say-
walk
yeah.
right in.
Walk right in.
Say,
But that place was probably the most terrifying place I ever performed.
Marriott
Was at
Center?
Marriott
Center?
Well, and you were a
Yeah.
student while you had to.
Well,
What
that's
was that
the
like?
reason.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, BYU, long story, we'll get into some of the questions, but, it was a calculated move to Provo.
Yeah.
And initially
By your
when we-
parents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but really the family, because they wanted us, the network, wanted us to have it in Salt Lake City because it was much closer to the airport. And remember, that drive used to be deathly because there was nothing in
yeah.
between, right? And
There was the prison, and that was
that
it.
was it. and it felt like you were in a prison driving it for the
Yes.
celebrities that would come. But I remember we chose Provo Orem, because of BYU. And they knew that, I never had a normal childhood. No. I'm normal. And but BYU was the only place where I got to experience that. And, you guys got to go to elementary school, junior high.
Orem High School.
Exactly, all of those things.
All that
Not me. I grew up in New
Most-
York. Nobody's normal from New York.
But you have that normal school life. I
right,
never
yeah.
did. I had a teacher in me. And, that was it.
So now you're in your English lit class at BYU. Are you
I'm
you
feeling
out
like
of
a
your
normal-
mind, or are you feeling like you got it all together?
Well, I felt like a normal person. Some of my best friends are still the people I met at BYU.
Yeah.
And they started treating me so normal. I learned how to take notes. I didn't have to do that. And
You've got people to take notes.
When they said we're performing at the Marriott Center, I thought, oh crap, they're going to see me as the entertainer and not as their friend.
And you were worried about
And
that.
I was worried about that. I wanted to just have my friends treat me normal, but they did. They were so cool. But man, that was a scary show to be amongst your peers, I guess, is what you feel like in high school.
So
and
when you're in
college.
class and they say, "So what are you doing tonight?" You're like, "Well, I'm the show that you're going to see."
I know.
Is that how
I don't
that-
know. What
is
are
that
you
how that
doing
went?
tonight? Don't go to the Marriott Center.
Could you go when you were at BYU? You felt like there was some sense of normalcy there. Could you just go to games with your friends? And did you get to do that while you were here?
Look, this place, BYU, was the only place I ever felt normal. And I got to go to the games. I mean, there weren't very many people that went there at that time, especially being LDS. So we all dated each other.
Yes.
And so, you just...
Maria and I were talking about this before
We got a
before the
long
show.
list
Before the
of
show,
questions
we were talking
about that.
this.
But it was.
So-
But you're right. It was. I went to the games, all of them. We went to the concerts, Cougar Eat. I mean, come on.
Yes.
That's where BYU ruined me because I fell in love with the Creamery, and ice cream is now my go-to all the time.
Yes.
They're still cranking it out.
every day. That's where I'd go. Man, it was so fun.
So you dated everybody. I think we've come to that conclusion.
No.
don't we?
Yeah.
My brothers did. I didn't.
Jeff Judkins,
Yeah,
who just retired.
Steve told us before that's Jay majored in dating.
that was his
Jay Osmond.
subject.
Well, Jeff Judkins retired as the basketball coach, all-time winningest coach. And we were talking to him one day, and we were talking about you, and we were talking about Danny Vrains. Jeff and Vrains were big high school recruits out of Salt Lake City. Jeff was a little older, so he comes down on a recruiting trip and
Right.
ends up going to the U. Danny Vrains comes down on a recruiting trip, and according to Jeff, among the things
What did Jeff say?
he said, among the things,
I want to see if
that-
this is verified
that-
because Jeff's told us a lot of crap.
Yeah, I'll
over
tell
Yeah.
you. I'll tell you if it's crap.
But he said that Danny was set up with you on a date while he was on his recruiting trip, and he's like going, "Yeah, Danny comes down and she goes out with Marie Osmond. I didn't get Marie Osmond when I came down." And Danny ended up going to the U as well.
Right.
So the question is,
But
what
one
happened?
of them, saved themselves and came back.
That's true. That's true.
did.
Jeff did see the light and come back. But the reason I bring that up is because he also dated Devin Durant.
Yeah, I think what
We're
you were
just
getting
moving
at
from one star to the next.
is because our show was in worldwide, 17 languages and stuff. So I think BYU loved the fact that I said, "Hey, use me. I'll help you bring
Sure.
people in,
Well,
whatever."
Jeff
So
got-
I brought a lot of different people in, but he was.
Jeff said he got ripped off. Felt he got
Jeff-
ripped
He
off.
felt he got.
Well, see, he's here now because he's still hoping to have that date. That's not going to happen.
It is not going to
not
happen.
happening.
That time has come and gone.
She has a basketball player.
Now, Devin Durant.
And a good one.
Devin
Yeah.
Durant,
I want to
we've
hear.
known.
I want to hear about
What's-
this because Devin.
What was Devin Durant like? No one could stop him on the basketball floor.
He was the lead, he was the nation's leading scorer.
Yeah.
Right.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
He was forward.
Yeah, he was a forward.
and he was that way in dating too.
So
We're going to have him on the show, and
Yeah,
we're going to have
we're
some
gonna have-
follow-ups.
Devin's going to kill me, but you can ask Julie, his wife. I mean, we talk about it all the time.
how was
The
your
position never left.
yes, he was. How was your date with Devin? That's what we want to know.
You know what? Devin is great. I love Devin. As a matter of fact, before the show coming up, Julie and Devin and my husband, we're all going to go to dinner.
Oh, nice.
But the thing with Devin. So who didn't love George?
Right.
George.
Oh,
Durant.
yeah.
I mean,
He
his
was the
classes,
MTC president when I was
right.
through there.
His classes were just everybody
he took
wanted
religion
in.
from George. Durant.
But the thing that was so cool is really that relationship with Devin. It was my parents' relationships with his parents, And George, I got to know George not just in his teaching, person, but off that too. My dad would have him come on our plane and he'd fly with us. And he was so stinking funny, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
He's fast, talks
And
fast.
Devin has that satire that
Yes.
that is so funny. But we went out, and it was interesting because we were popular at that time, and
Right.
people would ask
Sure.
for my autograph, and the waiter came over and said, "There's a couple people over here that love to get your autograph," and I immediately said, "Oh, sure, that's absolutely fine." When they walked over to the table, they said, "Devin, can we have yours?"
That's fantastic.
And I was like, "Okay, all right, this is good. I feel really
now
stupid."
you knew what
But
you
it
were
didn't
dealing
work
with.
out with Devin
Yeah.
because the biggest problem was when we held hands.
Yeah.
It was like this.
Yeah.
My arm was
Because he's so
always,
tall.
Well, and yeah, that's exactly
What is he?
you're-
6'7",
you're-
6'8"?
He's
Are you
6'.
5'4", 5'5"?
I'm 5'5".
Yeah, 5'5".
Yeah.
So yeah,
6'7".
yeah, he's 6'7",
But
6'8".
he is the most lovely guy.
Yes, he is.
And I mean, I seriously, my husband and I went, he is the church's Sunday school,
Yeah.
president.
Yeah.
And we're just so proud of him, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
we love them so much.
So you didn't go out with Kyle Whittingham, but promise me you called him after the Cougars beat him last year. Promise me you did something because you're friends.
You know what I did.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad sport.
No.
I'm a good person.
Yes, you
I
are.
just went to his front lawn, and I started singing Tongan songs.
For Kalani.
Emali, tongefai.
She knows it.
Emali, tongefai.
Did he call the police or did he just enjoy it? And
No.
Realize it's
So you never dated Kyle. I know that you didn't do that. You did date Steve Young, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
We're
did.
Did you
gonna
have
talk
more than
about
one
that.
date with Steve?
I don't know.
Because Steve feels like Steve feels
He
like
doesn't remember.
he bombed on the first date.
Well, I think,
Not Steve Craig,
I
Steve Young.
tried Steve Young. I tried. Yeah, Steve's
Robbie's
going,
here.
What?
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah, we're going to get to Steve Craig here in a second. So, and we're going to talk about this
we went
date.
out. We went
later.
out. We did.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Yeah,
about
we'll
it.
tell
Yeah, that's
we'll
what's
get
coming up.
Robbie in here. And we'll
How
talk
did
about
you? And I promise you, this is a sports interview. But how did you manage to go on dates when you had a bodyguard? How'd that work?
You were so. How did you hear about that?
What it's
Okay, so
Well,
here.
it's word all
We
over
have
town.
sources. We
Okay,
have
so-
sources.
We have
Okay.
sources.
Okay, that song. I had to have a bodyguard. It was
Right.
during a time that there was, some crazy things going on.
And at what age were you?
And he lived in our
16
house.
when you had a bodyguard.
Yeah, it's
16.
when I started dating.
The formative years, you have a bodyguard.
Yeah, well, I was dating.
Yeah.
He lived at our house. My dad made sure he would wear his lava,
Yes.
around the house and sing songs. And unfortunately, I only learned the men's choreography. I didn't ever learn the
yeah.
women's. But when I first started to date, I mean, nobody had my phone number, right? And so there'd be setups, and I would get ready, and then the boy he wouldn't show up, and that happened for several months.
They got scared or what?
Yeah, they just wouldn't show up. And I finally went to my dad and I said, I don't know if they're trying to hurt my feelings. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm kind of bugged. This hurts me. And my dad goes, that's just weird. And he goes, don't worry, honey. And my dad went outside. I had another one. I guess he was in the bushes. And
One of your dates?
yeah, just to
was in the
see if
bushes?
they came up or if they were doing something stupid or whatever. And he was hiding out. And he said that Devon, my bodyguard, Devon Te'ua, he answered the door in his lava. And the guy would go, is this the Osmond's house? And Devon would say, do I look like an Osmond? And it's
Slam it.
He was,
Well, I'd go
he was-
running
he was
too.
doing- He was doing his
He
job.
did it with my brothers, egging them
Oh,
on
yeah.
him on to do it. And so, yeah, that's a good story that Devon and I have to this
Oh,
day.
that's great.
Everyone needs a Devon.
Did you play any sports growing up, or did you get launched into music so quickly? I know you're a huge sports fan. Did you
I
get
am.
to play?
You know, the problem is that entertainment is very much like sports.
Yes.
Yeah.
You pick it, you do it, and you work it. And my husband actually said I probably could have played tennis pretty well.
Yeah.
But you have to put the time into it, and that's something that I couldn't because I was putting the time into my craft. But I love the two because they're very similar.
Yes.
They really are.
We talked about when you were over there getting ready to come on with us. The question I have is, I feel like if you're a big time entertainer, you've got to be at your best in the most critical moment when all the pressure's on. Everybody's eyes are on you. You've got to be the best you've ever been in the biggest moment. And that's what Robbie Bosco had to do at the end of the national championship game. He had to come through. Steve Young had, like all these people that you're good friends with, they have that characteristic that makes them great. Entertainers have to do that as well.
Well, you do too. Guys, you're live.
Yeah.
It's called live. And whether it's sports or entertainment or on the radio.
3,000 times in our life we've been live.
I mean, you just, if something goes wrong, nothing goes wrong with you.
Yeah.
No,
we just keep going.
So what is it? Is it something that you just have? That you can do that you can focus in the big moment, or is it something that people can learn? Because it applies to both disciplines, sports and entertainment, right?
It's the same principle, exactly. I mean, you can love sports, but at some point you know that you're probably not going to do it as a career. Same with entertaining. You know, you can love singing, but I think what the difference between the long-termers is that being a finisher, giving it your best, never quitting, long hours, just it becomes so you that in those moments where you have to bring it, they call it the zone. I call it you focus, and it's the same principle. You just do it.
Do you get butterflies? Because you talk to players before Super Bowl and they go, "Man, I've been playing this a long time, but I get butterflies still." Do you get butterflies before a big show?
Same principle. I know I've heard players say that, and we've talked about it, that if you don't get those nerves going before your game, whatever kind of game it is, you really shouldn't be doing it.
So when you're watching a game and a big moment comes, and Tom Brady's probably the biggest big moment guy of all time. Steve Young's pretty good, one of my favorites, of course, and one of yours, but we're a little partial. Do you notice that? Do you go, look at this? Like he's at his best right now.
You can tell, can't you tell?
Yes. Oh.
I know you guys know that. It's like I said, to everybody listening, you will not learn anything from me in this interview regarding sports.
That's not true, because we got some great questions coming up.
No,
but you're right. You can tell when somebody is in that moment.
Yeah.
I've seen that, and they know when they're in it too.
Yeah. Hey, we've seen you perform hundreds, if not thousands, of times, and there's been times where we go, "Oh man, she just killed that. She just killed that under all this pressure." And that's what a quarterback makes a great play, a basketball player makes a great shot, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh!" In the moment, they rose up.
But it's that goes back to that question with desire. You know, the passion of it all to succeed. That's what puts you in that moment. Is you just won't quit.
So
favorite sport? What's your favorite sport?
Well, basketball. My husband.
That's the best.
Hello.
I knew she was going to say that.
Next would be
I'm
football.
not sure if it's true, but she did say that.
So Steve Craig is a guard on the basketball team. Danny Ainge, the other guard. This is a great basketball team.
I forgot how dry Utah is. Sorry.
Yeah, drink away.
No. Yeah, we got more where that came from too.
I remember being a ball boy for the team. There's 22,000 fans in there, and he's out there and he has to make a shot, which is very similar to what you just described from an entertainer. From those two worlds, which is interesting too, because you also performed at the Marriott Center in front of a sold-out crowd. So you both have. Is that what brought you together? The edge of I got to be really good at what I do, and I have to do it in front of a whole lot of people. Not everyone can relate to that.
I agree with you. I think there's definitely an understanding there, but that's not why I dated him.
Really? Why'd you date him?
He had cute legs.
Cute legs. Cute legs. He's over shaking his head. So yeah, he's got. So what? How'd you two get together? What was your first date?
Okay, here's the real story. Okay, so like I said, I love doing things for BYU.
Yeah.
And my family did. As a matter of fact, Stadium of Fire Show. That was our family that created that for.
Right.
For
Alan was the
Provo.
mastermind behind
Well, Meryl, I'll tell you if you want. I'll tell you that story. But anyway, back to my dating. So BYU. Came to the Osmond Studios with a recruiting team to get us involved in some things they were doing when we first got there. Yeah. And one of those people that was in that group was Steve, my husband, Steve. And I knew that a lot of people probably wanted to date him. He was very cute and everything else. So
because of the legs. Because of the legs.
So I gave him every opportunity to ask me out. I mean, I threw more passes than you can imagine.
You threw more passes than Steve Young that year?
And do you know what happened?
What?
He didn't ask me out.
What?
So years ahead, okay?
He's shrugging his shoulders over here.
Yeah.
We learned different things.
This is the truth. So years later, when he came back from his mission and he was playing, Of course, I would go to the games and everything else. And so finally we were set up, and that I don't quite remember whether it was his friends contacted my brothers. Once again, nobody had my number. And we were set up through either his or mine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody had Jay's number, though.
But-
Let's get that straight.
Okay, yeah. No, he had everybody else's.
That's true.
But so we go on our first date, and I mean, there was definite chemistry. And I even kissed him on the first date, which I did not do
Ooh.
usually. That was very rare. And I wanted to because I knew being an athlete, he needed a little bit of game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
You took it for the team.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
And so he asked me on a second date, and I stood him up.
What?
Just to send another message, or what?
And it really bugged him, which of course I was playing, offense.
Yeah.
And
So this, you're telling us the stand-up was strategic.
absolutely.
Okay, I like this.
And so he asked me on the third date, and then he goes, "Why didn't you show up?" And I said, "Because you never asked me out way back in the day when you came to the studios on behalf of BYU."
After all these years that you were still harboring those
strategic.
feelings.
It was strategic.
I said,
love
"You
it.
deserved it." No.
Well,
Well, I'm glad that worked out because it's fun to have you guys together.
yeah,
It is fun.
And you were friends, so you knew Jim McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you knew Jim. Obviously, good friends with Steve Young. Robbie and you are close
Robbie.
friends. And Robbie's going to get with us here in just a minute. So, legendary BYU quarterbacks.
Right?
In your opinion, who's the best of those three? Who's the best player?
Okay, really? You're going to ask me that question, and he's sitting over there. Okay, truth?
Yeah.
Truth.
It's if you're talking, BYU quarterbacks. Well, of course, Steve Young is amazing,
Right.
and of course he went on to win 2 Super Bowls for the 49ers, and
He's a Hall of Famer.
and just the way he could throw so precisely was just stunning to watch
Yeah.
for me, and then you have Jim McMahon. Okay, the guy is unbelievable. And again, 2 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the Bears. And he's an amazing quarterback. I mean, the guy has so much guts. Seriously, who headbutts
Yeah.
another player
man.
on the field without
Especially a lineman.
without a helmet?
Yeah.
Right?
Jim McMahon does.
He
That's
just
what.
had massive attitude. But if you're talking, BYU,
Yeah.
Robbie sitting over there, so cute.
He's already
I mean,
smiling. He already knows what you're about to say, I think.
He took his team to the national championship.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And he did it. He went 13-0. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't beat it. So I would say you, Robbie. Not
Robbie.
just because you're here. I would have said it anyway.
And Robbie knows I've always said this. So there've been some great players, and each guy has their own skill. But so nobody ever at BYU threw a better deep ball than Robbie Bosco.
Right?
He could drop it in to Sluggo or whoever, like even slow receivers like Sluggo. He could drop it in over the top of defenders like nobody I've ever seen. He reminded me of Mark Wilson. We were talking to Mark a couple weeks ago on the show.
He was here?
And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he was. And Robbie, best deep ball thrower ever played at BYU, and then he hurt his shoulder. And
Right.
if he does not hurt his shoulder, then he has a chance to go to the National Football League and do what he did in college. He
Right.
just cut short because of that. So we don't ever get to see what he did in the pros because of that. But I have never seen a quarterback throw a better deep ball than Robbie
You
Bosco.
would have killed it. Seriously. I know that.
The great thing is the buttering up that's taking place right
but
here
he's
is
so-
going
I've
to
said
come
that. I've
right
But you know
back
what
down.
else is great about
I've told
him?
him that to his face when it's just the two of us. So there you go.
He has that way to make it a team, which is what I love about sports. I tell all my children to make sure their children are in sports because it's such a great way to not be one, but to do the many, and I love that.
He's got no idea the questions you're about to
which
ask
one
him.
was the nicest of those three, though? Robbie's the best player. Which one was the nicest?
Steve, Craig.
Good answer. Excellent answer.
Very politically correct, I would say.
Hey, if Regis, considering all your friends
Oh,
are
dear.
big time BYU
Right,
guys,
right.
if Regis was back here and you're playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and you need to use your lifeline, and your husband's phone's dead,
Yep, can't call Steve.
who do you call? Who do you call to help you?
Ghostbusters. No. So everybody listening out there right now, I know you're watching. I've never had an interview like this before. This is awesome. Who would be my lifeline?
Yeah, who of all these big shots at your friends?
Sincerely,
Sincerely.
Yeah.
probably Devin.
Devin.
Yeah.
You know what? He'd be good.
It'd be good. He knows a lot of stuff.
Devin is so fun. Look, I can't articulate everything perfectly for sports, but I understand what everybody's saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Right.
like a little bit of a foreign language for me, and my husband gets so embarrassed because I'll be oh, look at that audience. And he goes, no, fans.
Fans.
And so that's the part of me that drives him crazy.
Hey, it's all the entertainment business.
But
though.
I
It is all
would
the-
choose Devin just because he knows so much,
Yeah,
and he's
that's-
so funny too, and I just love him.
For the record,
Okay.
Robbie would call me.
You would?
Yeah, he would call. Because he knows I know something about everything. Not a lot, but a little about everything.
a beautiful thing.
So it's and we had some conversations in the dorms, so he knows. So
Yeah.
Robbie would call me. So if your brother Donnie played football, which
Oh, sorry.
no, I hope Donnie
that was
sees
the
it.
Donnie knows you're
Donnie-
on right now.
That was the funniest question ever.
Donnie, if you're streaming this later, I feel bad right now. I feel bad that Marie just laughed out loud when I said that Donnie played football.
So what would he
Donnie
play?
played, what position would he play?
Water boy.
Water boy.
Oh no, I'll be nice. He'll be the guy that picks up the tee when they do the kick.
No,
After the
that's-
It's just a
kickoffs?
step up from water
he
boy.
would be so Donnie would be a holder basically. He would be a holder.
Well, you got Olive and George surrounded you with 8 of these brothers.
Yeah.
Donnie's one of them. Alan, Tom, Verl, Jay, Wayne, Merrill, and Jimmy.
You read that,
Of
right? 'Cause
that
you don't know
group-
them for sure, do you?
I got them all in there. Of that group,
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
who was
He
the
is
best
good.
athlete of that group?
No one.
Really?
No.
Wait, I'm trying to remember.
They're athletic in their field, which is entertainment. I mean, they're
Yeah.
athletes in that sense. But no, no.
I feel like some of them came out and caught some balls with us one day.
That would be tried to, yeah.
Tried to.
Hey,
Hey, look, I don't slam it. They know they're not. It's like I said, if you know you don't have that gift, don't
Right.
pursue it.
No, true,
And that doesn't mean they don't love sports, you know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But you, if in a battle of wits with you and Donnie over sports, it would be a no contest.
No contest.
you would kill him.
I would murder
I
him.
love that.
I believe that. That's awesome.
I have a husband that
Yes.
knows.
Las Vegas, you and Donnie have got your own star along the Las Vegas Walk of Fame. October 4th is Donnie and Marie Day
October 4th?
in Las Vegas.
Wow.
So on October 8th, BYU's going down to play Notre Dame, and they're hoping for a BYU day on that day. You're going to be at the game?
That's the 8th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going?
Well, yeah.
And where are you sitting?
Oh,
where,
yeah.
Where are you sitting?
I heard about this.
Well, I sit in Mark Davis's suite.
And who is Mark Davis?
Mm-hmm.
He's the owner.
Of the everything.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. All right. So how did you and
Who I
Mark
also
Davis?
love.
So you get to go sit up with Mark, and Dave and I are stuck on the sideline with Dan Reynolds,
Hey, Mark.
which is not a bad deal,
It's
right?
not a
Can
bad
I
deal.
tell you,
Like
I
the-
got to know Mark over the years.
Yeah.
And he would be so cute and text me, hey, I'm walking through my house. And that was the stadium as it was being built.
Yes. Oh wow.
But he was so great. He asked me to sing the first home game
Right. Last year.
with the fans when it opened after COVID.
Yeah.
And I just told him, I said, you could have chosen anybody. And he's so sweet.
yeah.
What'd you
He
sing?
is
What songs you sing?
What did I say? I sang the national anthem.
Was it the national anthem?
It was.
Oh man.
Because I think
Which
they-
is- that is-
anymore before an NFL game, they got 5 or 6 songs
It
out
was so
there.
cool. They had all the survivors of the shooting in Vegas stand on the
Right.
field with
Oh,
this
man.
gigantic
Mm.
flag, and it just, talk about emotions,
So that's not an easy. First of all, there's so your father served in
Yeah.
the military,
In the Army.
Sergeant.
and that's such a. And
I woke up to reveille. No joke.
Oh my
Really?
goodness,
Oh
yeah.
my, yes.
We have alarm clocks. You had
Yeah.
Reveille?
No, I had Alan play the
Is the bugle with that background and all that, and I know the national anthem means something to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a hard one for you to do when you've had to perform the national anthem several times? Is that tough?
Well, the song isn't for the squeamish.
No, it's
No.
not easy.
One of
right?
my favorite moments, besides that, when the at the Allegiant Stadium, I did it for the Capitals when they were playing hockey, and I'd never really watched hockey that much, and I did the national anthem. I was going to walk out and get and then they said, "Sorry, you can't go back and get your purse," because moments before the guy slammed his face into the plexiglass right where I was, and got a puck in his face.
Oh, wow.
And I went, what? And then like 3 seconds later, somebody else got, just slaughtered. And I went, what is this sport?
It's a violent sport.
But going back to the national anthem, it's one of those songs that you really should know the words and why they were written, because it's very, very moving. And I like to do it probably the more traditional way, which I think is to honor the integrity of how it was written. And of course I do my stuff too, but I like the dynamics. My voice can do that. I can go very soft to extremely, big volume. And so I like to do that, but you better know what you're doing, because when those jets fly overhead, you'll go, huh, what?
So you performed Stadium of Fire,
Yes.
the national anthem at the Stadium of Fire, and I thought it was spectacular. And as you're finishing, you're ready to sing Home of the Brave. You look up and here come those 3 F-35s.
Yeah.
What is that like? What is that like for a performer to finish that song? And you see the jets before everyone else because you're actually looking that way. And I thought, what's that like?
It never, how do you ever beat a win, right, in sports? Every win is just, when it's the most exhilarating. It brings tears to your eyes. I knew they were coming, but what they didn't tell me is that the cannons were going off over there.
Oh, man.
That someone forgot. Someone had one job and they forgot to do that.
And when it went over, you hit that big note, and you better know how to hit it. And then all of a sudden those guns went off and I went, ah!
Those are loud.
But it's so moving. Guys, I love this country. I have done many, many shows with USO, and Bob Hope was like a second dad to me. And so when you see firsthand what our military does to allow us the freedoms that we do in this country, it's so hard for me because I've been in those medical tents.
Right.
And, sorry.
Oh,
I don't understand people that don't honor them because they deserve it. Not just them, but their families. They sacrifice so much. And so anything I can do for them, and that's why I love this last show on the 4th, is because it went worldwide to all of the servicemen and women.
170 countries, I think.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know how many millions
where the
of
air
people.
bases and.
But they all saw that show with Tim McGraw. And
it was with Marie
honored.
Osmond and then Tim McGraw.
Yes.
That was the show.
And it's an interesting thing when you're playing, and Steve can remember this, and Robbie can remember this, that national anthem, it's an emotional thing, and then it's like, okay, now let's go. Like, we got to go now.
Right.
But now it's different for me when I go. Like, at Stadium of Fire, we were sitting there right in the front row, watching you both up there, and I get a little emotional when those jets fly over every single time. Every single time.
I've actually flown with the Blue Angels.
How was that?
man.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
Wait! Before we continue it on, and with Marie Osmond on the Wise Guys, did you? Because there's a bag off to the side that sometimes people use when they're up there and they get to mock whatever and they just throw everything up.
Yes.
Did you hold it together?
Singing the national anthem?
No, when with the Blue Angels.
Okay, so 5 of us went up. They let 5 people go up. Out of the 5, 4 were guys. One was me. Girl,
Okay.
And I'm the only one that didn't throw up.
So that's fantastic.
Wow.
It was so fun.
Your
So you're
street
good. You
cred
can
is
do anything.
skyrocketing
You know,
tonight.
I have been so blessed. God has been, seriously, so it's ridiculous sometimes I think about it. But the experiences that I've had, but honestly, the BYU experience was probably one of my most, and I mean that sincerely, because I felt normal.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, it was so cool. The guy, I said, I'm not a wimp. Don't you dare make me a wimp, and because I'm a girl. And I said, my father always said he's glad he had one son in this family, and that was me. And so.
So what you're saying is every one of your brothers would have thrown up in a Blue Angels
He pulled 5
jet.
G's on takeoff.
5 G's.
For me.
And you want to know, it sounds like Donnie
It was so
absolutely would have thrown up.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before he even got in the plane.
Marie would beat him in a battle of wits of sports. She didn't throw up on a fighter jet. Donnie would. What was she got one thing right at the beginning that was big time street cred. I can't remember.
Well, she's been in a Super Bowl ad, which I think is
That's
next
right.
level stuff.
She's got 3 pieces of street cred that trumps all of us.
So
Like Robbie and I have played in a national championship game. That's nothing.
it's nothing compared
Compared
to
to
this.
this stuff.
And she
Am
had
I one of the
she had
guys
4
now?
albums done before she was sitting in her English lit class at BYU.
Youngest,
So there's that.
Youngest #1 on the Billboard country charts ever.
Isn't that crazy? And
Ever.
I know. And
14 years
It
old.
went back up to in the top 10 again. And
Unbelievable.
it's just crazy. And that was strict passion. It's the same principle we talk about that as an athlete. You know, you look at great people who give back and that are athletes. They never quit. They just keep that going. And it's so crazy fun. And I really feel blessed. I really do.
No matter the vocation we choose, life gives us so many ups and downs and highs and lows. And you've had the highs of highs with number one songs and full stadiums. And you've had some lows of lows that you've written about, including postpartum depression, New York Times bestseller, Behind the Smile, My Journey Out. But in 2016, this caught my eye. You put out a new album called Music is Medicine. Why did you call it that? And how is music medicine?
The song was written because I think music is very healing. You don't need pills or booze or all those things. And the song is about I put the music on. That gets me high, which has been my whole life. Yeah. And it's dedicated to children. I'm one of the founders of Children's Miracle Network.
$8 billion raised now.
That number is just staggering to me. 170 children's hospitals have benefited.
Steve Young has been one of our
huge part of that.
Huge.
Yep.
He's the best.
And I know that Jim. I came with Jim one time when it was over in the studios over here. Jim McMahon's been part of that. Steve Young's been
Merle
big.
Olsen.
And Steve and Barb have been a big help in that. Merlin back in the day.
Back in the day, I'm telling you, the greatest guy.
Yes.
Oof, amazing.
So what is it about the music that heals us?
I think like anything, like this music, and I'm hearing in my ears right now with a guitar solo.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Uh-huh.
Do you hear that?
Is this
Yep.
a little mood music?
Oh, that's so cool.
On a live stream, you always have a little background.
I love it.
And Dave.
Sometimes we'll break out in song.
Yeah.
Just if we're
It makes me
feeling.
want to go, hi! Yeah.
I should have brought the guitar. We could have just done something.
That's medicine. See?
That was
You
medicine.
scream. You don't need something
Robbie
to
used to
numb
make
you.
me get the guitar out in the dorms and sing at night to calm him down.
Kumbaya, some of that stuff.
No, I would sing. I would start when I wanted to make him mad. I would sing "Beast of Burden" by the Rolling Stones. I would start playing it and singing. He's like, "Please do not sing that song in the store."
But you have followers all over the world, and some obviously checking in with us on our live stream on Twitch tonight. But who have benefited, who would say, "Oh yes, absolutely." When I'm down in the dumps, I listen to music, and they listen to you, and they follow your career, and have for a long, long time. You have 2 million people on social media just wanting to know what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're singing, and so there's been a giant connection.
Music really is a huge connector. And it's a way to feel something without actually saying it. If it's too painful to talk about, or expresses joy when you need to, celebrate something. But I think it's a great power. And like sports, same thing. There's camaraderie. It unites people. It gets people, passionate.
Yeah.
But music is my sport, and I sing multiple genres of it, which is kind of a fun thing to do, like playing different sports.
And the most recent is opera.
I know.
Which I love that your recent, I'm not going to call it a reach, your recent dip into that pool, expansion into opera has just taken off.
So my husband went crazy. This is a hobby. This was a hobby for
Yeah.
me. I mean, it took 25 years to learn how to sing that way. And then I cut the tracks in Prague, 17 of them, and I decided that I'm probably not going to do another album. And so I said, we need to put all of those songs on this album. He goes, are you kidding me? And I said, no. So it's a 17-song album.
How patient did Steve have to be when you were learning?
He's
the
so
opera?
patient with me. He's so sweet. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
But it was a really fun thing to do, and I enjoyed it. And
People need music.
I'll be doing a couple things at the concert here.
I love that.
Good.
I love that. People need music. They need entertainment.
They do.
Sports is a form of entertainment. They need a release from all the troubles of the world.
Especially over the last couple years
Yes.
with what BYU. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, let me tell you, that's so Camille Marie just joined us on our live stream with Music is Medicine. Literally is the song I listen to when I'm busted up and down on my knees.
Oh man, that's so sweet. That's a Super Bowl for a singer.
Yeah.
Is to know
That's
that
so
something
awesome.
that they have done touches them.
And another said, unexpected, but best album.
Oh, so sweet.
So how about that?
It was very unexpected.
So I think, hey, they're just being honest.
Like
So,
you said, when it debuted #1 on Billboard, I was like, what?
What in the world,
What?
right?
Nothing I've ever done did that.
how fun is that though to have something that you just were doing for fun?
It was a
to
hobby.
test yourself.
Yeah,
To,
push to
come
push.
out and have that kind of critical success, which is pretty awesome.
Well, it's truly amazing, and you're so cute to bring it up. But we don't need to talk about that. Let's talk sports.
Let's do this.
Let's get.
We've got
Oh, yeah,
a
we gotta
few
do one
fast
thing.
questions for you, and then we're going to
Because
bring
I'm
Robbie
having fun
in.
doing that.
Oh, yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
Teriyaki, just so you guys know.
Elisa Tuyaki,
Yeah,
defensive coordinator.
yeah. Just
For
so
BYU.
you know.
I know you have a
that
bone to pick.
If you well,
He said he's not getting the props that you would think you should.
I don't think he is.
Yeah.
So
and I'll
why
tell
is
you why.
that?
I want to say
Okay,
this before Robbie comes out here.
Okay.
So the thing about him is that he has had to play third string players.
Right. They've
Yes.
had a lot
But
of
what
depth
he
issues.
does that people don't understand is he's building a team. I think he is. What do I know? Like I said, you're not going to learn anything from me.
You know he's 21-4 in his last 2 seasons.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So I think wait till you see what he does. I'm really thinking he's
think
gonna,
this year's the year
I
the
really
defense
do.
breaks out?
And by the way, guys, you think you know him, but truly you don't know him because his real friends call him teriyaki.
Elisa Teriyaki.
Teriyaki.
He's a little salty and a little sweet.
Oh my gosh. Hey, I'm with you though. I've
Do-
been saying
do
that.
you agree
this
with
is,
that?
This is the breakout year for BYU's defense. I think they're going to be a top 10 defense this year.
Do you know, I really
They can
do.
have some semblance of health. Like they lost all of their linebackers last year, right?
Everybody got injured or hurt or out.
So I agree with you that I am 100% on board with you. I think this is the year that everybody's going to go, oh, now he's a genius. No, now he's got guys.
No, but the thing he has is that wonderful Polynesian way of, hey guys, but but they kick butt and they see the long game, and I think he's going to be great.
I think defense won practice on
So
Saturday.
we'll see if Marie knows it.
We think you do.
You heard it here first. Marie says this is the breakout year for BYU's defense under Elisa Tuyaki.
I love my teriyaki.
I love it.
Okay, you have 12 studio albums, 3 compilation albums.
When you go to the games, because I'll be at some of them, you'll
Yeah.
see me wearing a T-shirt. Go teriyaki.
Go teriyaki. Now we'll know that you're cheering for the defense.
We're calling Elisa right
You got 33 singles. All right, 6 music videos. So real quick, your top 4 songs that you've ever performed.
Oh, jeez. My four, like,
Yeah, your 4 favorite.
well, Paper Roses.
I love it. My favorite.
My first #1 record,
Your 13
right?
when that goes #1, just for the record.
My second one would be, gosh, that's really hard. I had a bunch with Donnie, but I
Well,
would
there's
say,
a Montana song that you
but
like.
Montana, talking my
yeah.
songs, that was a CMA Duo of the Year
Meet Me
with
in
Dan
Montana.
Seal.
Loved it.
Okay.
And that was probably
Seals and Croft, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
England. Yep. So no, England Dan,
that was
John
England
Fort
Dan, John
Coley.
Fort Coley.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Okay,
they were
that's right.
brothers, but England Dan was.
And everyone
Dan
seems to
Seal.
like your music is medicine song.
And then I would say
Don't-
music is medicine
Okay.
because to me it kind of highlighted Children's Miracle Network and
Right.
the work I do and my years of loving music and many styles. And then probably Unexpected.
Unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 4
be
of
singing
the,
I love
of the
Unexpected.
many.
Oh, I love
Are you
those.
gonna
can
sing it?
I'm going to
Unexpected?
sing it. Yeah.
How do you decide which songs you're going to sing?
It changes up. It's like a playlist. You can
Just
plan.
go, I wanna go-
You can say you're going to do this play, and in the middle of it, you go, okay, we're going to change it. So as of now, I have a set list, but I heard some people are coming to the show, and I might bring a couple people up to sing.
Oh, that's cool.
So it'll be fun.
So the other day, I'm like, hey, Marie's coming on this week. That's going to be really cool. I was thinking about Paper Roses. One of my favorite songs to get going to work out to is Gonna Be a Good Day by Nappy Roots. I don't know if you guys know that one. But then the other day I was getting ready for bed. I'm like, may tomorrow.
Oh, get out of here!
Oh, here we go.
perfect day.
Here we go.
May you find
Hey.
love.
He's been dreaming of this
I was
moment.
singing
singing that
He's
last
been
night. I was
dreaming of this
singing that
moment.
to go to
Marie's
bed.
coming.
Marie's coming.
Hey, sang that a lot.
Yeah, that's.
So-
Robbie's over there pulling his pants up.
Sera.org, SCERA.org. You can still buy tickets for Saturday night in Orem at
Get
the
to
Orem
that
Sera show,
Yeah.
8 o'clock.
Is it 8 p.m. then?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
it is at 8 o'clock.
The sun will be up.
We're all showing up for that.
But it won't be up for too much longer, and that'll be a nice time. Be good weather.
Are we
be
going to do
awesome.
5 questions from
Yeah,
Maria?
you
Every
ready?
guest that we have to do 5 questions.
Oh, we do?
So
Rapid fire.
Scott Warner, our social guru expert, said, "Hey, every guest you come on, you need to hit with 5 questions
Rapid fire.
that everyone
Okay.
will know."
Let's see if I can do it.
Go ahead, buddy.
So-
Are these sports questions?
No,
There are a variety of
okay,
questions.
sorry.
So favorite sports movie?
Hoosiers. Best ever.
That's awesome.
I don't watch
Man.
movies
Writing that
more than
down.
maybe I've seen it 7 times.
That's a good one.
Gene
That's
Hackman's the best.
Oh
in
my
this.
gosh! And the redemption, it's just beautiful. Everything. in
that's
it.
a great
The
film.
music,
Indiana.
everything is.
Yeah, I
beautiful.
think a lot of people agree with that. Okay, favorite band.
Beatles.
All right, the Beatles.
Yeah.
She's going old school on us.
I am.
Favorite breakfast cereal.
Been around one.
You know what?
We've been around the same amount of
A lot
time.
of people don't realize that, because when we think of the Beatles and how everyone just screamed and chased and all that, they did the same thing for your brothers and you when you guys
Paul
performed.
McCartney came to the hotel to get our autographs for his daughter.
That is so
Isn't that
awesome.
crazy? But here, this is
Did
the
you
thing.
say that'll be $20?
The thing is, no. The thing is that it makes me seem old, but I was very young
Yeah.
Yeah.
when I was inundated with that world. So yeah, the Beatles, the
Hey,
best.
my kids know the Beatles.
Yeah.
And my kids' kids know the Beatles.
And if you don't,
so
you should,
Yeah.
because if you want to know, like sports, you got to know the people who
You need the
started
history.
You have to know the history of it.
And if
Yeah.
you don't appreciate it, then yeah,
All right.
I mean,
please-
Sammy Davis Jr. taught me to walk on a stage,
that's awesome.
and most people don't even know who he is, and you should.
Who can take a sunrise?
Yeah,
Anyhow.
amazing.
who,
Sorry. Anyway, go
don't
ahead.
disappoint us on this next question.
Favorite
Hosts,
We've had some awful one. Favorite breakfast cereal.
Frosted Mini Wheats.
Okay.
See, that's okay. Thank
that
you.
bad?
Thank goodness. No,
No,
that's
that's
good.
not.
Oh wait, who is it that has a new cereal out now? Is
don't
it
know.
Snoop Dogg?
The Snoop
Did you
have a
hear that?
cereal?
I-
yeah,
the Snoop
did you
have a
hear
cereal?
that?
I
it's
didn't
like
hear that.
Fruit Loops with marshmallows or
No,
something.
I thought it was Fruit Loops with weed. It would be
That sounds
Snoop.
like
it could be in those
Snoop.
marshmallows,
He's like, hey man, you eat this, you chill. So,
and you'll be hungry later.
right?
All right.
so favorite country,
Keeps you eating.
favorite, your favorite country to visit outside the United States.
Oof. Okay, so well,
You won't alienate anybody.
well, I love Europe. I love Asia. I would say Austria. I love the Alps. I love. I'm a mountain girl.
Gotta go.
Okay,
Bucket
right.
list
And
now. Bucket list.
I love the
Italy's
way
mine,
they
but I'm
live
gonna
there.
go
You know, they
Austria.
go to the bread store. They go to the fish store. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
so cool.
Okay. Favorite brother.
You gotta you have to have
that's-
one.
That is totally an unfair question that I will get killed later. So I'll say this: my favorite sister is
Oh.
Wayne,
There you go. I love it.
Sorry,
We
Wayne.
knew that might be a tough
and
one.
he knows it.
We knew that might be a
Favorite
tough one.
sister.
So
Now, look, here's the thing. We would love to have you come on our show, like whenever you want, especially
Yes,
every
anytime you
summer
want.
I would love
when you come in.
to.
But we, what we really need to know is there's a standard, as you can tell here on the show.
Yes.
So you need to
Well,
be
there's
able
no dress
to.
code.
There's
What are you
that's
talking-
not part of the
what are you
standard.
talking about?
The par-
because I have on shorts and no shoes
I
or
want you to
socks.
show them your shoes. Go ahead.
so no,
Show them your
there's
shoes.
a policy of.
Show them
Here's
your
mine.
shoes.
DJ, show him my shoes.
Okay.
Hey, get
Listen, there's
hot in
house
here.
rules here. There's house rules.
That's Polynesian way. You don't wear shoes inside.
Right.
So-
exactly.
So what we
Wear
need
your
to
logo.
what we need to know to feel comfortable moving forward is how you can interview with us.
Yeah.
So like you know you've had stars and singers and even Kobe Bryant and all that stuff in your variety of talk shows, but you've never been on the Wise Guys,
right.
or have you? And you've never interviewed
That's
the
a new
national
first.
champion quarterback.
Oh.
That's,
could
so
I?
there's a lot of things
Yeah, tonight's
that are
the night.
happening here, and if it all works out, then we'll vote.
Yeah.
And if you get a majority,
Hey,
then you'll be a regular
I
on
will
the show.
do my homework.
No,
So-
I'll even make sure I don't say audience. I'll say fans.
So we want to welcome in Robbie Bosco, who went undefeated.
I got to get my glasses.
Yeah, grab your
'cause I have
glasses. And
questions.
Robbie, a national champion quarterback in 1984, who's been waiting patiently to join our show. And we'll put that mic right under your chin, Robbie.
Rob, and nope.
Robbie, why are you so cute?
Because I hang around you.
Wait, Robbie's home. Robbie told me, "Hey, I can stay as late as you want. Nobody's home. Where is everybody?
They're in London.
The whole family's in
What do they-
London. Karen and all.
No, just Karen.
Oh, Karen's in London.
Karen and one of my kids.
Well,
Their
what,
family.
and so why didn't you go?
Too busy here.
Really?
Yeah.
He and I have to play
Football
golf
season's
tomorrow.
coming
Yeah.
up.
Golf tomorrow.
Golf,
Yeah.
you know,
Play
some of
golf.
those things.
That's true.
Some of those things. All right, so we've got an intro. Do you want to read the intro? Or do you want me to read the
You
intro?
read the intro because first of all, I'm dyslexic.
So we'll let you get those
So these questions
glasses
will
on.
be really
So our
interesting.
next
I
guest,
thought it was just to see me across the way.
I can see you. It's that
Okay.
I can't see.
Robbie Bosco started for the Cougars in 1984 and 85. Went 23-3 during that time.
I wrote this, by the way.
Inducted into the BYU Hall
Hold
of
on a second.
Fame.
That's 24-3.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh man.
She didn't write it then?
I did write
Oh,
it.
you did write it?
See, I wrote it.
a shoulder injury cut his NFL career short with the Packers.
Yep.
Currently on staff at BYU as director of the varsity club when he's not golfing. He's a scratch golfer. We all know it.
Hey, by the way,
nothing to be
I
ashamed
asked,
of.
I asked Mark Wilson who the best athlete golfer is, and we were talking about Dan Forsman. I told him you, and
Are you talking at BYU?
yeah, all the former
All the
BYU
former
athletes. Who's
BYU
the
athletes?
best golfer? I said Robbie, and somebody said Danny Ainge.
Are you better in age?
You can beat Danny.
You
right?
can beat Danny.
Yeah, I'll beat Danny.
Yeah.
There, yeah, he'll beat.
Can I be there when you do it?
Yes.
Can you beat Dan
You can
Forsman?
caddy
'Cause
for me.
I will. I'll cheer.
Dave and I just played with Dan Forsman,
See,
and then he
wrong
shot
sport.
32 on the back.
Yeah, I cannot beat
When
Dan
is
Forsman.
Danny a sore loser? Is he a sore loser up close as sometimes he's seen far away?
I don't know.
He's not bad.
Yes, he is.
He'll run. He will run over your ball and cheat to win. He will do that.
I'm just thinking about the Celtic days, but I was a Celtic fan, so
I
Yeah.
was a Celtic
love that
fan
dude.
too.
Yeah, he was a Celtics guy. When I was a Sixers guy.
yes.
So
sir.
we should say that Marie's got a list of questions for you, and Steve Young, another
Oh,
one of your
boy.
friends, helped put them together.
Yep, Steve helped us.
I
I
asked
reached out to
Steve.
Steve this
Blaine
week.
and I are just here for moral
just
support.
for the ride. Okay, here we
Okay,
go.
so you help me with this, okay? All right.
Okay.
So, okay, here's the first question. Mark Wilson, Jim McMahon, Steve Young, they all have multiple Super Bowl rings and Heisman trophies, et cetera,
Ty
et cetera,
Detmer,
goes on.
yeah.
Yep, Ty Detmer. Okay, but you, my friend, have the only, I think I mentioned this.
Yes.
You know, the only undefeated season, you know, with 13-0. So, in your opinion, what makes you better than them?
Oh, jeez.
That's a deep, poignant question.
I told Steve, okay, what? He goes, no, you got to set it up this way.
Yeah, my good friends would never do that. But I've known Steve for 40 years now, so that sounds like him.
I asked Marie who her favorite brother is. Okay.
yeah,
Yes.
it's-
That's
we're,
hard.
we're not holding anything back.
You know what?
It's a terrible question.
It's a horrible
It's a horrible question, but you got
But
to
you know what?
answer
Great
it.
interviewers just pause
Yes.
until the
So
person's
I'll
forced
say-
to answer.
I'll say this, that we probably don't win a national championship without those guys that came before us, because they set the stage for the BYU athletes, the BYU quarterbacks and the BYU teams. Just as Ty Detmer wins the Heisman, before him, we had all these amazing All-American quarterbacks that did all these great things, and it was just the right timing for Ty to win the Heisman. And I think that and the love that people had for Lavelle Edwards put us on the pedestal and to be national champs, and we were the only undefeated team. So
And here's the part though. You didn't answer the question.
Good answer.
Why are you better than him?
Good answer. Why do you think you're better than them?
good reporters don't do that, do they?
Yes,
no, they do. Follow up.
They do?
They
They're
follow up.
follow-ups.
Believe me, I've been in your seat. I've
is-
tried the political.
It is getting warmer in here.
Why are you
Yeah.
better? Just tell us.
It's just the four of us.
Okay,
It's
it's
just
just
nobody-
the four. No one's listening to
No,
this.
no.
I think I had a better team surrounding me.
Oh, see, that's what that
No,
was. He's
our
great.
defense was ranked in the top 10.
Amen.
And we had some great players, and I was just fortunate to be the guy throwing them the ball.
All right.
And
good answer.
he also happens to be the best deep ball thrower in the history of BYU.
That's very kind, Blaine. Thank you.
Okay, so I want you to do this one really quick.
All right. Hey, by the way, Corey Yoshimura from Japan is in with us. Says, Blaine, Dave, love you guys, but I'm here for Marie.
Oh, I love you.
So Marie, Corey,
Oh my gosh, be still my pounding heart.
Corey, for all intents and purposes, runs the PGA Asia. That's what he does.
That's-
and so
Have me come over there.
Yeah, Corey took.
I can sing in Japanese too.
Really?
He
Let's hear a few bars.
He'd love to meet you over there. Corey's
Kimi
the
wa
man.
kawaii,
Corey's the
bokuro
man in
kuro
Japan.
neko lakai libongo. I'm doing the background music.
Oh my gosh!
We're hearing Japanese right
So
there.
Corey took us to the Masters here a few months ago. Took us to the Masters and took us all around. He's such an unbelievable. He grew up in Utah, but served over there.
He did?
His wife is from Tokyo,
Uh-huh.
and so they live over there. Their kids were born over there.
I love Asia.
And he takes care of all of those big names over there.
And look at our live stream. He's just invited you to Japan.
Open
Oh,
invitation, Marie.
please, I'll be
Come on
there.
over.
We're going to go spend some time with Jack and Barbara Nicholas. And
Oh yes.
oh my gosh.
We asked
Please.
We asked Corey.
My
Dad-
husband loves golf.
Yeah, as he should.
He loves it to watch it. We watch it all the time, as much as we can.
That's awesome.
Golf is
But he
huge,
doesn't like to play.
huge in Japan. Hideki Matsuyama over there, we're asking Corey, we're like, what's his endorsement deals worth? He goes, well, if he plays them all out, about $1 billion.
Oh my gosh!
He's the best golfer in Japan. Won a
I
Masters.
should have not
2 years
been
ago.
an entertainer. I should
Yeah.
have pursued
You did the right
sports.
thing. You did the right thing. So here's this next question, which is a really good one,
And
I think.
for some reason, I'm super dyslexic
Each
right now.
quarterback at BYU's had a tag team partner to catch the football. We were talking about Gary Scheide and
Right.
Jay Miller, Mark Wilson and Mike Chronister. Jim McMahon had Danny Plater, Steve Young, had
Steven,
Gordon Hudson, and you had Glenn Kozlowski. What was it about Koz that made him so good?
Cause came in a semester early to BYU. So he was at spring ball for BYU while me and Blaine were still in high school. And so when we got here, we felt Cause was one of the best receivers that ever come because he was starting as a freshman
Yeah.
and all this stuff. And he just kind of had that. He had the stuff that most receivers don't have. He had a toughness. He wasn't afraid of anybody. He would get in fights every single day at practice, and he was the one that instigated all of them. And he just wasn't afraid, so he was tough. So McMahon loved playing for him. Steve loved playing with him, and we didn't start off good. I hated that guy at the beginning.
Really?
They put us in the dorms together.
Oh, yeah.
And after about 3 days, I left the dorms, went and lived with my sister, and I just did not like Cause, but we are like the best of friends now. And
Oh, until he
love that dude.
found me.
Yeah.
yeah, me and
Till
Blaine were
that-
roommates.
till that-
Until
came
we
together.
lied. Until we lied to each other. He told me he was fun. I told him I was mellow.
What?
Total
What?
opposites of that.
Yeah.
We both lied and we got together, and
There you go.
we're probably the 2 greatest roommates ever.
Yeah.
Because
We had the cleanest room by far.
we did.
That's awesome.
So you didn't
guys.
like?
Good for
Did you ever? So you had a beef with Koz early. Have you ever like gotten a fight with a band member where some of you were so mad in a show with a band member? Like these guys at practice with their guys.
I'm going to do what you did. I love everybody. Okay.
That's a yes.
You didn't answer
She
the
did
question.
not answer the
I know.
question.
Answer that question.
I don't get mad. Not very often, but if I do, they deserve it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You know what? Another good story. Cause one day was trying to get all the team because he had a beef with me of something. So he tried to get all the team against me. So for 2 straight days in practice, I didn't throw him one pass.
You did it?
Yeah.
He was wide open at times. I didn't throw it to
That'd
him.
make me mad if that was.
He came up to me and says, "I'll never do that again. Sorry."
Less.
You know, the ball.
You know what?
The
That
ball won't
reminds
go in
me
your
of when you
hands
didn't
unless I
show
do
up
it.
for the second date with Steve Craig. You had to establish
You have to
We
establish
did it.
the law of the land.
We have a lot more in common.
who is
than you
offensive
think.
and who is defensive.
Yes.
That's you just
When Rob and I were dorm mates, Kozlowski,
offensive. See, Steve would kill me right now.
Statute-
Offense.
statute of limitations is up now. Like Mark Wilson told us the story last week. He's like, it's 40 years. I'm just telling the story. I was going to quit. Remember he told
Yeah.
us that? I was going to quit. I went into
Who said this? This
Mark
is
Wilson.
Mark Wilson.
Seriously?
I quit, and LaBelle said, just hang around for a little while longer. But the statute of limitations is up, and Glenn's like one of the greatest human beings ever, and so we can say this, but we lived on the first floor, and he would knock on our window, because we had a curfew back in those days.
Yeah.
In the dorms. And the doors got locked, I think every night of the week. And it would be Glenn. And it would either climb in through our window, or we'd have to go down to the end of the dorm and let him in. Like, dude,
He drove us nuts.
stop.
Man, but in the back of the end zone on the Holiday Bowl, that guy made one of the greatest catches in the history.
And that's still up for
BYU.
debate because Robbie ran over and I said to Robbie, were you throwing that away? Because like Glenn, and he's like, no, I wasn't throwing it away. I was throwing it to Glenn. And then Glenn comes off and he goes, dude, were you throwing that away? I'm like, see?
It was truly one of the greatest moments.
Unbelievable
Oh,
catch.
Unbelievable.
All right,
I
which
have
one do you
another
wanna
one
do?
for you. Okay, this is true or false.
There you go.
And it says, okay, so first, you once said,
True or false?
true or false, had I not injured my shoulder, I would have won more Super Bowls than Jim and Steve combined. Is that true? And did you really say that?
Or false? And remember, there will be a follow-up.
I'm sure there were. I did talk to Marie's agent this morning, and he said that these are some crazy questions. I did not say that.
Oh, now he's lying.
I did not say that. And what was the other question with that?
that you would have kicked both their butts.
Oh. No, I was just a skinny little kid from California. I couldn't fight anybody. No.
You know, Steve's watching this right now.
I know he is.
Yes, you do.
And
Some more zingers are coming
He is
up.
rolling.
And for 40 years, I know what his dating life was like in college. So don't get me going.
Steve's? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he took me bowling. Yeah.
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 Yep.
What in the world?
We're going to have a question about that
he-
coming
I-
up.
You know,
He admits now that
hey,
that was
I
lame.
tried to lose.
Oh, yeah. You would have beat him in that for sure.
Okay. Okay, how big of an honor for you was it to be back in that incredible era of quarterbacks at BYU?
It was actually amazing. I mean, when I was in college, high school, I didn't really know anything about BYU football. So I started getting recruited and things like that. And I remember, I think it was one of BYU's first, I don't know if it was their first national televised game. It was on ABC. They were playing down in San Diego.
Yeah.
Mark Wilson was the quarterback. So I'm watching the game. Mark's first 3 passes were for touchdowns. Mm-hmm. He was 3 for 3 touchdowns. And I'm like, I want to go there.
Right.
And Mark Wilson is one of the reasons why BYU was so good to me, and I wanted to be a part of that. They threw the ball, and then my senior year in high school, I'm watching BYU play with Jim McMahon was the quarterback. This was Jim's junior year, and he was throwing for like 500 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns a game, 80 some odd NCAA records, and I'm like, I've got to get there. I've got to
So
get
cool.
there. And so the recruiting process went on, and there was a hotshot quarterback that I knew of. I didn't know about Blaine. I didn't know about anybody else, but I did know in California, Sean Salisbury was the quarterback in Southern Cal, and I was the quarterback in Northern Cal. And so they recruited both of us. He was a member of the church, and I wasn't. So my thought was, if he goes to BYU, I'm not going. I'm going to go to Cal, or I'm going to go to Cal. It was close to home.
Pretty much going to be Cal.
It was probably going to be
Yeah.
Cal. Doug Scoville recruited me at San Diego State, but I don't know if I really wanted to go there, so it would have been Cal. Sean Salisbury decided to go to USC. And so Tom Ramage was in my hometown Roseville for a whole week waiting for me to make a decision.
Really?
Yeah, and I kept telling him I'm not going to decide until I find out. So he's walking back and forth and I'm in math class. Mr. Pellegrino is my teacher, and all of a sudden there's a knock on the window, and I look over and he's like waving me over, and I'm like,
In the middle of class.
middle of class, and Mr. Pellegrino goes, "Yeah, you can go." They all knew what was going on with football and everything. And he said, "Salisbury's going to USC." And I go, "Okay, I'm going to BYU." So I went in the PE office, called my dad, told him that's where I want to go. We signed the letter of intent that day, and that was good.
It's just, you look back and go, wow. It's all guided. It
Couple of-
really is.
A couple of weeks ago, we had Mark Wilson on this show. Here's what he said about you.
Favorite BYU quarterback not named Mark Wilson?
Geez, that's tough because I love all those guys. But you know what? I think I'm going to go with Robbie Bosco.
Really? How come?
I thought Robbie Bosco was so great in college. I loved watching him. In fact, another funny story, Todd and I are on a plane. We're flying back with the Raiders. We're going to play the Giants back in New York, and we're watching. And we have these mobile televisions, which nobody had at the time, but we had them on the plane. And BYU's getting killed. And Robbie brought him back and won the game, and that was just so fun. But I've always loved Robbie as a person, but I thought he was a great quarterback.
I always say this, Mark, like Robbie reminded me of you. He reminds me of all the quarterbacks that played, the great ones, reminded me the most of you. And for this reason, I felt like the two of you had the best deep touch of the quarterbacks. Each guy had their skill set, right? And I'm just like, man, Mark throws this just beautiful deep ball. Then when Robbie was in his prime, I'm like, man, Robbie reminds me of Mark, like his deep throws where you got a defender underneath and it's just right over the defender's hand and just drop it in there on that deep post. You and Robbie were like elite, otherworldly on those throws, and I always thought Robbie reminded me of you, so I love that he's your favorite quarterback.
Mark Wilson on the Wise Guys. That's not too bad.
Wow.
You know what? I love that dude. When I got cut from Green Bay, Mark was there with me, and they were just trying to find quarterbacks, so they brought in quarterbacks, and I got cut, and then I went up to Mark. I go, Mark, what do I do? You know, he had experience. He's been in the NFL for a lot of years, and I asked him. He goes, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep playing, or do you want to just move on? And I just, you know, I had shoulder surgeries and injuries and stuff like that. So I just told him, I think I'm done. And then he told me that Garth Hall, who was our former running back coach when me and Blaine played, he was the head coach at Idaho State. And he says, I think they're looking for a quarterback coach. I go, really? Wow. So I called Garth up and I said, hey, I'm done playing in the NFL. I heard you're looking for a quarterback coach. What do you think? And this is in August when they're in two-a-days.
Yeah.
So he says, yeah, come out. I drove out there. He goes, here's the playbook. You're calling the plays. And let's go. And so Mark got me started in coaching. I had 15 great years, counting Idaho State, of coaching. Had a lot of fun doing that. And I just love Mark Wilson.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
That's cool.
All right,
Was Kyle on that staff with you up
And
there?
Kyle was on that
Kyle
staff.
Whittingham was
Up
on
there
that
at Idaho
staff.
State?
I used to stop at their house when up in Pokey. Remember?
I had a little
Pocatello.
girl, our first daughter was Amber, and I have a great picture of Blaine sitting on the couch with Amber as a little baby, and Blaine had his gorilla mask on because it was Halloween. And
Were you scaring her?
he scared me.
Hey, I
Yeah,
was
of course.
I was on the road, so I couldn't go out with my kids, so I went to go out with Robbie's.
Blaine, are you the Kevin Bacon of sports?
No. Connected to everybody, right? Everybody is
connected.
2 steps from
Hey,
Kevin
by
Bacon.
the way,
Everybody.
can I say something about Marie?
No.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Absolutely. It's an open mic
Absolutely,
policy
So I
here.
went to, we're talking about athletes, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, some people may think, you know, singers just go up there. Shoot, these guys, Marie, sometimes Donnie, but Marie, I went backstage and I saw some of the outfits that she wore, and she had this cowboy hat that had to have weighed 10 pounds.
I remember.
She had these shoes that had to weigh, they're super heavy and high heels. This girl's an athlete. I'm telling you, what she does on stage for that many hours and dances
You're so cute.
Oh, yeah.
straight through, it's truly amazing.
You're so sweet.
It's so nice of you to say
I
that.
said it's like it is similar, don't you think? In a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
It takes the practice.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you put it in the play, and
I'm just trying
Okay, so-
I'm just trying to avoid these
I
next
know
questions.
because the next one is also from Steve. A little help from him, Steve Young. So he said, when you played intramural water basketball.
I think he knows where this
I'm
is
going
going.
there. And it was the winter after you won the national championship in football. He said, why did you spend the whole time holding on to the side of the pool yelling for a sub?
Well, I will say this. First of all, we were water basketball champions.
Yes,
And
but that's not the question.
the worst
She is
part
tough.
is
She's tough.
Tough.
the worst part is when you got fouled. So you're at the free throw line and you're begging the ref to get you the ball because the water's up to here. Because I'm not a good swimmer anyway. So give me the ball, hurry up. And I did and just shoot it real quick. It was hard. You're in the deep end.
Yeah.
There's no touching the bottom.
It is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
The Olympians make it look easy,
Oh,
but it is
yeah,
not.
they just go. But it
It's
is one of the
physically-
hardest things
it
I think I've ever
is.
done. But we were good, though. We had a bunch of
Did you
athletes.
get your sub? It sounds like that you spent a lot of time calling
yeah.
for a sub.
Hey,
Yeah.
I want to say this. I didn't get invited on the water polo team or whatever that thing is, but we did win the intramurals basketball championship in the Marriott Center.
Our team was who cares?
Yeah. We were trying to find a name, and everybody's like, well, what is, and then somebody just says, who cares? We go, that's it. That's the name.
That's the name.
Who cares was the name of your team?
And once we got reinstated after the fight, we went on to win the championship.
Well, I have another
We had a
question
fight in the middle
because,
season.
and I know you do care, Robbie, because other than showing your tremendous hairdos, and you know your best dressed football player, what else did you learn from Steve Young?
Boy,
I tried to get something serious, didn't happen.
yeah. Those sound like all Steve Young questions.
I don't think.
Well, he was helpful.
Steve Young, you know what? Like we talked about the receiving duo quarterback receiver, and him and Gordon Hudson.
Oh man.
So a great stat on Gordon Hudson before I get to that question was my first collegiate touchdown pass was Gordon Hudson's last collegiate touchdown
Really?
pass. He blew his knee out after that against Utah State.
That's right.
And I played in the game early because Steve had a concussion. So
And that touchdown pass, by the way, is one more than Dennis Pitta's and remains the record for tight ends at
Yeah.
BYU.
Did you know that?
no.
Yeah.
Say that again.
22.
Wow.
Gordon still has the record for touchdowns for a tight end by one more than Dennis Pitta.
Really?
So the one you threw to him, his last,
Was the
still,
record.
Still
holds the record.
Still keeps Gordon as the
Wow.
record holder.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I want to say, when I went into the Utah State game, because Steve was out with a head injury, I went down, we threw a touchdown pass to Gordon. We ended up winning the game. So I don't think Steve would have won 2 Super Bowls or been the great all-time quarterback at BYU if we didn't win that Utah State game. And I helped in that regards.
Wow.
So that's not the answer to the question anyways.
No, but I really liked your answer.
That was a good answer.
But Marie
No question
wanted to know,
about it.
So Steve obviously taught you about hairdos and how to dress. Obviously. So what else?
Definitely not hairdos on Steve. I will say this about Steve, though. I do owe Steve a lot, and Steve is a very good friend of mine. Him and when I was the backup to Steve, this was our third year at BYU.
Yeah. It was your play year, my redshirt year.
Every day after practice, him and Gordon Hudson, because I was a horrible interviewer, and I probably still am.
No.
No, you're not.
And they would reenact lights, camera, action, and ask me questions. They go, we got to get you ready for next year. You got to get prepared. And so they would do that, and I could not answer questions. It was hard for me.
Yeah.
I just kept on laughing like, this is too hard. I can't do it. So as a player watching Steve, I learned a couple things. I learned how he treated people. I learned how he acted in regards to the church as far as doing firesides and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the way he treated and acted with the media and how he handled himself. And you always got to learn from the people ahead of you because they've been there, they know what they're doing. And I'm sure, Marie, you learned a lot from some of the most amazing singers ever before your time.
Yeah, absolutely. That you glean from the best.
Yeah,
And you can also learn what not to do from some of them, too.
that's very true.
But you were talking about sitting out in the last question. So curious, do you think that Lavelle Edwards should have kept you out for a few more games with your injured shoulder so that Blaine could have played a little more?
I'm very interested in
I'm
this
very interested in this as well. And we're recording this for the podcast.
Yeah.
for our posterity.
You
And
guys
it
just
could
get
be
tense.
played back like that. So, with my injury, it's been 40 years, right?
Yeah, so this is, yes. Let's talk about this because
It's time.
So I was.
this could have been better for both of us, by the way.
You're
You're going to tell this.
It probably would have been.
Would anybody have ever asked that question?
That's a great question.
It's a fantastic
Only the best
question.
of the best would ask that
Yeah,
question.
see, I'm loving
that,
that.
and that's not Steve's question. She came up with that one.
That's a good question. So,
Well,
with
my Steve came up with that
Yes.
question.
good job, Steve. So, with that injury, they told me I had tendonitis in my shoulder.
Yeah.
And so to me, I can play with tendonitis. The problem was after probably every 2 games, I went to the hospital, had cortisone shots, and my arm was aching. I couldn't practice Monday. Blaine probably practiced more than anybody ever. And then I came out in games. I'd go out to the games, and I'd go start warming up, and I couldn't do it. I could not throw the football. It hurt.
Yeah.
So I'd go in, get treatment, and then I'd come out to the game, and the adrenaline would pump up, and my arm definitely was weak. It wasn't as strong as it was, but I felt like I could play through that. So when I got drafted by the Packers, they said something is definitely wrong with that shoulder of yours. They sent me down to see Frank Jobe, who is the world-renowned orthopedic surgeon down in L.A. He laid me on a table. He put my arm back. He goes, "Does that hurt?" I go, "Yeah." It kills me. And then he put his hand here, and he goes, "How about that?" I go, "No, that feels okay." He goes, we have to do surgery tomorrow. So for 11 games, my shoulder was coming out of socket
Oh my.
every time I was throwing. And that's what I was going through. But I nobody,
you didn't know it.
I didn't know it. Nobody knew it. Because like Blaine says, it probably would have been better for my career
To sit out.
to sit out and just get the surgery right then and then get ready for the draft and all that kind of stuff.
Because he had enough. Robbie had enough in the books, right?
Yeah,
He had
13-0
enough-
and-
Right. He had enough to be a high draft pick if he's 100% healthy, right? So if he gets surgery before that gets all scar tissue and all that in
Right.
there, and he's 100% healthy and he's throwing it like he can throw it, he plays 10, 15 years in the NFL, right? But because he played with it for 11 games and then in an off season trying to get ready to go, now it's kind of late to go in there and try to fix that, even for Frank Jobe, right? And so never could get back where I think if they do it immediately, he's probably got a chance to come back to full health and be the same arm that he had. And that arm is a big time NFL arm.
And still went 10-3 that year, and went to the Citrus Bowl.
11-3.
11-3.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah,
11?
Yeah, let's get your name.
Get me right.
They didn't
Correct
ask,
me.
they,
Get
hey,
that right.
Correct
they
me.
didn't ask me.
Yeah, Blaine would have known that.
Yes.
But
Because we were there together, right?
yeah. But I'll say, and then the other thing is, at the time, you could not go into the draft as a junior.
Right.
You had to stay. It wasn't until 2 years later, Bernie Kosar took it to court, and they said that you can't deny me to work, and so then they passed that you could leave. What I guess
Yeah,
a year earlier.
because for Robbie, that was like Zach last year. After Robbie's junior year, he's a Heisman Trophy finalist, like all of these things. It's probably time to go out. And he goes out healthy because you got hurt in the, was it the Temple game?
Yep.
Got hurt in the Temple game early in the season. We were back in the vet playing, and he hurt that shoulder throwing. He got hit while he was in throwing motion, and so if it was a few years later, Robbie probably goes out after his junior year, and then he probably plays 10 or 15 years in the National Football League. So some of it's all
And then
about,
you're a starter.
and then I start our senior year, what would have been his senior year and my senior year, and then who knows what happens with that. We had a phenomenal defense again that year. They could have saved me. I could have just dinked it around and been okay.
You know what though? It would have been a tough decision for me though.
Yeah.
Because we had a phenomenal team coming
Yeah,
back.
everybody
Really
was back.
great
Yeah.
team.
Our defense was
Yeah.
probably even better. The only thing that was probably a little bit weaker was our O-line, because our junior year, our O-line was
man.
amazing. But it was fun though. No regrets.
All right.
Okay, here's another one. Just amazing. Okay, we're talking quarterbacks. Okay, so who do you think was the most impactful quarterback in BYU history, not named Robbie Bosco?
I would say Steve Young, by far.
And the reason?
And the reason is because what he means, what he is being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and how he's handled himself through all these years and the pressures that he's been put through. We've all been put through a lot of pressures, and I just think his level has just been up there a little bit higher than most of us. So if I had to choose one, I think he is. I mean, he's a dear good friend of mine, and I love that guy. And we had a lot of fun together in college. We don't see as much anymore, but I think he would be.
This is also a question from Steve, and I know you guys love each other because there's no way. He said, so.
I know. I saw. These are guys they're at. So somebody just asked Robbie. Robbie pointed down. Somebody goes, Robbie has long fingers. Did that help him throw tight spirals? Like people ask the funniest
Yes, it
things.
did.
Yes, that does help because you can grip the ball good. So sorry, Marie, to cut you up. But
No,
Robbie,
no.
Robbie's like, what's that?
I know, I love these
and by
comments.
the way, Marie has the greatest outfits and shoes during her concerts.
All
Thank
right.
you
there
ever
go.
so
And by
Do
the
you
way,
like my boots?
Look at those shoes.
Do you ever see Marie not looking like decked
No.
out?
$1 million
She
bucks.
always
No.
looks $1 million.
$1 million
No,
bucks.
no, no. You guys.
We come to the show and we look like five-
Even during rehearsals at the
we look
Stadium
like-
of Fire,
look
$1
at
million bucks.
Robbie and I.
Robbie's
Robbie,
got
show
no
Robbie.
shoes. I said no shoes, no sock policy.
I kept that old BYU dress code my whole life.
Marie
It's
looks like $1
1,000
million bucks. We
degrees.
look like
Marie's out
five.
doing rehearsals at Stadium of Fire and looks like $1 million bucks.
So Marie, this is
No.
an important question though.
Yeah, this
Steve
goes right to the core.
It says, so Robbie, are you bummed that so much time has gone by that most people believe that Steve Young was the quarterback that took BYU to the national championship. Sorry.
Honest
That
answer.
won it.
That's a great question. Steve, whenever I'm at his golf tournament and he calls my name up there, he always lets everybody know that he was the one that won the national championship.
I know. It's such a guy thing.
It's such a guy thing.
It is.
But, you know, he has fun with that, but it can't be taken away from us. We got it.
You got
we
the
got
hardware.
And he adores you. He really
Got the
does.
hardware. That's good.
What do you like about Jaron Hall and his chances for this season? That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And that's Marie's question.
Now there's some power.
No.
I know Steve's questions and Marie's questions.
We're not done with Steve's
Yeah,
questions
he's got-
either,
he's
so
got
keep
another
going.
one.
I think Jaron Hall is going to be a phenomenal football player. He is, and for this year, he's got experience. He's got more knowledge. Every year you gain knowledge, and it's through learning the system, learning what to do with the football, learning the timing of when to make the right throw at the right time, when to get out of the pocket, and he does some natural things. So when he gets going, the plays he made against Utah last year were phenomenal. And when he ran down that sideline and was just running by everybody,
And we didn't even know he had fractured ribs.
Yeah.
yet
Right?
while he was doing that.
And so I know everybody's always says if he can stay healthy, he's going to stay healthy. I mean, I have no concerns at all for that kid. And I just think he's going to have a good career in the NFL too.
And so what do you think about this year's offensive line compared to the one you had in like 84?
Well, in 80, the difference is we had a great offensive line, but those
Like
guys,
some of the guys,
What do you got? You got Garrick, you had Anai.
Yeah.
Your
I,
center-
I
yeah.
think Marie knew Craig. I knew
Trevor
Yeah,
Mathers,
Trevor Mathers,
Greg,
those
Trevor,
Trevor.
right?
Pick,
Yeah, Marie knew
Lewis
all those
Wong
guys.
and
Yeah.
Dave Wright.
I dated them all. No,
No, she did. No. But Jay,
I
but Jay
I know
might
most
have.
of
Jay
them,
might
so I
have.
hope not.
everybody knew everybody. No,
That's true.
No, I didn't.
That's true. But those guys weighed like 275 pounds.
Yeah.
And
Which was big at the
and that
time,
was
right?
Big at the time.
Yeah.
I think Louis might have topped out at 280, and he was huge.
Yeah, and he was huge. And, they had size, but these guys we have on this team now, they are massive.
right?
And they may look big when you see them out there, but when you're up close to them, they are just massive. They're
Unbelievable.
like 6'5" to 6'7", maybe 6'8", one of them.
Yeah, Blake Freeland, 6'8", 310.
And this Freeland's going to be right up there in the draft. And these guys are 300 plus pounds, so they're very good. In fact, a quick story: Brooks, who
Chris Brooks, running
Chris
back.
Brooks, who did the portal, I guess,
Yeah,
came into
transfer
BYU.
portal.
From Cal.
A story that I heard, so I did not hear it from him, so I hope this is a true story. One of the reasons why he chose BYU was he was watching film and he saw Algier running behind this massive offensive line, and he's like, I want to go there.
Yeah.
Really?
I want to go there.
Why
I want to
wouldn't
be a part
you?
of that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so we're looking for great things from both those things.
Aaron Roderick the other day, Rob, they were asking about this line. He talked about Blake, who could be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And they asked him about Kingsley Samatea, the transfer from Oregon, who's top rated offensive lineman in high school 2 years ago. He's 6'6" and weighs 330. And Aaron said, he is the most athletic 330-pound human being I have ever seen in my life.
Wow.
And he says, and I've coached some good ones at the U that were big time. Like he had some big time dudes that played on the, up at Utah. And he goes, this kid is the most athletic 330-pound kid I've ever seen in my life. That's what they got up front. 330.
Yeah, they're big boys.
Wow.
It's going to be fun to
Crazy.
watch them.
Okay, so you got Hall, Nakua, and Brooks. Let's say they stay healthy all year.
Okay, then with these guys, finish this sentence, okay? What do you think BYU's final record would be
If they stay healthy.
if they stay healthy?
We have 12 games.
Yep. 12 regular season. Yep.
9-3.
Really?
If they stay healthy,
He and I are like, we just.
everybody's
the
got to
same.
stay healthy.
Yeah.
One of the issues with BYU and one of the things that we have to change once we get to the Big 12 is our depth.
Yeah.
When we're healthy, our first team guys can play with anybody, and we're really good. And then when we bring in other guys, it just drops off. And that's probably around the nation. Teams just drop off. And so I just don't think our depth is as great as it could
But don't you
be
think
or needs to be.
Teriyaki's trying to fix that?
Oh, yeah.
We changed his name
She
earlier in the
changed-
show.
She,
I
she
know.
did. She officially changed Elisa Teriyaki to teriyaki. If you were here,
It sounds better.
Hey,
sounds delicious.
Like I said,
sounds
my
really
husband gets crazy with my, my
That sounds
lingo.
really good.
can't
He's
wait
my
to, I can't-
teriyaki.
we just you just call him E for short, right? So when we see E, I'm gonna tell him. By the way, your name officially got
Marie's
changed by Marie
renamed
Osmond
you.
to teriyaki.
And he probably would take that from
He
you.
probably would love it.
I love that.
He wouldn't take it from us, but he'd take it
Yeah,
from
he'll
you.
take it from Marie.
All right, so our final Steve Young question.
Yeah,
Okay. From my point of view. Okay.
yeah.
If Robbie took Marie on a date back before we both got married, would you do something more romantic than take me bowling?
Oh,
Steve.
for,
Nice one, Steve.
for sure. I would at least have you bowl 2 games, not just one. So I would spend a little more money that way.
Because it was like $1 if you had to get shoes. It was $1.40. So
Look, I'm probably not too far
Steve
from Steve.
is frugal.
He is. But
Yes.
like when I went on my first date with Karen, I took her to the dollar movie, which, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't want to spend $3 on a regular day. so I
no,
had to
because
go
you
on
didn't want to invest
Tuesday
anything
night.
until you knew it was
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah.
You didn't go to the
We all
Friday night
loved
movies
the
till
dollar
later.
movies.
Yeah.
The
Tuesday
dollar night was where you wanted to be.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 7-Eleven, that's where you,
You know
wanted
what
to be.
This is one. Can I ask Maria a question?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
What did you do on Wednesday nights?
Oh.
Did you ever go to the Star Palace? Truth. Truth.
You know, we've all been to the
And
Star Palace.
And I said ever, not just 10 times. Did you ever go?
Yes.
Yes.
Wednesday night was ladies' night.
It was the place.
You know Steve Craig
was.
was. You know
Back-
Steve Craig was there.
Oh,
Back
yeah.
Oh
then-
yes, it's ladies'
No, Steve
night.
was
Steve
not.
says
Steve
no.
Craig
That's
did
right.
he
not
says
go.
no. He's waving that off.
He never went. He hated it.
You hated the palace.
Steve doesn't like to dance.
I know, but
That's why he likes me.
I can't dance. And by the way,
Oh.
in
Okay,
Marie's
here we
show,
go.
yeah, she always calls somebody up to sing and dance with her. And I swear, if she would have ever called me up, I would have destroyed her. She never did. Thanks to her agent. He
What
goes,
did-
don't you
No.
dare.
What did
Greg-
all you guys think?
Greg goes, he will destroy you on stage.
What did all you guys think back in the day?
He is
when
that 350-pound guy.
you got your fellow BYU student here who's lived a completely different life, who's a big shot with bodyguards and #1 songs and all that stuff. How did you get her to act normal?
Well, look it's different.
What is that question?
She was the Michael Jackson of BYU. She couldn't go outside. But here's another one. I'm going to dog her a little bit on this
Do
one.
it. Dare you. Go for it.
Oh, you ready for
Oh,
this?
you think I'm a wimp? Go for it.
Okay.
Are you ready for
Bring it
this?
on.
1986.
Okay.
I'm playing for the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
You do a show in Green Bay.
Okay.
Are you agreeing with me yet?
I'm thinking.
I'd call to come see her show. I didn't know Greg yet.
86?
Had to be 86 or
Okay.
maybe 87.
Maybe. Okay.
And I never got a return call
Oh man.
to come see my favorite of all time.
Well, I obviously changed my number.
I'll accept that answer.
Been bugging you. It's been bugging you for a long time, hasn't
Wow.
it?
Honestly?
He came with that.
Blaine, do some math. 86.
wanted-
86.
I would have responded.
14,
96,
24,
2006.
I would have said
16.
no and hello no.
Now that's what I wanted to hear.
That's
Okay.
37
Who is
years.
this?
I can finally sleep at night now. I'm good.
37 years ago.
37
And that's been
years ago.
bugging him all
Been
this
bugging
time.
for
I never got that.
37
Is that
I never.
Wait,
I know.
Okay.
which bugs you more, that or that Cindy Battistone stiffed us on the jazz tickets?
Oh, Battistone.
Yeah.
For sure.
That
We're
bugs you
going to
worse?
go see Dr. J.
Oh, yeah. Dr. J is coming to the...
Cindy Battistone's dad was the
Owned the
owner
Jazz.
of the Jazz. She goes,
Right.
there's 2 tickets for you and
You
Blaine,
and Blaine.
at the Jazz. We get all the way up there. Nothing.
Nothing. We're like, we know Cindy Battistone. They're like, who? And you are who?
We got back in our car and went back
drove
to
home.
Provo.
It feels like we're kind of leading a therapy session, doesn't it?
This is 40 years later.
I've
That
had
still
to clear
hurts.
my mind. Thank you for bringing that up.
That's 40 years later. That still hurts. But I didn't realize he's gotten
Cheers.
dogged twice. Once by Cindy Battistone and once by Marie Osmond.
Hey,
Yeah,
That's hard to live
that's
with.
tough. That's 0 for 2.
ooh, really tough.
2 strikes.
I will
It'll
say,
ruin your life.
but Marie has come back strong now.
Yeah.
She's come back strong.
All right, let me ask you this,
So
Robbie.
cute.
Okay.
Knowing what you know now, over all these years, describe what kind of ambassador Marie has been and is for the BYU community and for the church and for Provo, for that matter.
That's a sweet question. She is, when you think of what BYU is all about, when you think of the honor code and all the things that why we want to come to BYU, why we want our kids to come to BYU. We want them to be surrounded by great people with testimonies, great people with desires and good hearts. And I'm not just saying this, and Marie has been give me a word, Blaine.
She's the ambassador for all of that.
She
globally.
really is. And you're always looking for people to look up to. The Osmond family that's really all I knew about what a Mormon was.
Right.
I knew about the
Latter-day Saint.
No, I know, but back then,
Back then.
back then,
Don't mess with
we used
Wilford
those
Woodruff's
words.
great grandson.
know,
Don't
right?
mess with Wilford
Yes.
Woodruff's great grandson right
Thank
here.
you, Blaine. But then when I got to know Marie way better
Yeah.
and super good friends, it's just like now it all comes together. And I am so grateful for the choices that I made in my life to be able to come here, and like life choices that other people have made to help me come here. And it's been I don't regret injuries. I don't regret the way my life's gone. I've got a wonderful wife, kids, 12 grandkids,
So cool.
and it's amazing. And honestly, I mean, Donnie was also a big part of that.
Yeah.
And those two are some of my favorite people.
You're Wade kind. BYU was an answer to prayer for our family because it was at that stage where everybody was getting married and dating and everything. And my parents said exactly for the same reason, let's take them to an environment where you find people that believe the same things you do, have the same values, And so being a part of that community and going to school there when I did changed my life too. I felt what normal was. And like I said, most of my best friends that I still have now, I met during those BYU years. And having that show here and doing Stadium of Fire and all those things that our family loved doing. But they're real friends. I'm just Marie. And it's fun for me to do that. I mean, like you said, Greg and Darla, best friends with Steve, my husband. Darla, my best friend ever. At 17, I never met a female I connected with like her.
She's the best.
That knew everything I loved and understood my world, and the smartest woman I've ever met. And Greg is ridiculous in his smarts. And now they're my management team.
Yep.
But it's like you surround yourself with the best, and BYU was the best. And magical during the 80s.
Oh.
Magical.
Yeah.
Hey, our son, I mean, you don't tell him what to do, but Steve's our oldest boy. He graduated from BYU. Nice. And that was like just heaven for us. And our other son, Matt's going right now, and I'm not going to push him, but it's BYU. And he really wants to graduate from there. And he's going he's a seminary teacher.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he goes, Mom, I'll never make the kind of money that I would if I were going to be a doctor or pilot. That's what he was going to do. He said, but I love bringing people to Christ. And it was really cool. I said, well, then you just need to marry the right wife.
Yeah.
You can find one.
Exactly.
And you can find that at BYU.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, you can. We were talking, Robbie and Marie, before you were here before that we got on the show with Steve Craig, Marie's husband, and Dave and I about that time when we were all at BYU, that
Yeah.
late 70s, early 80s to mid 80s time frame. What I call it Camelot for BYU.
Very
We
cool.
mentioned Corey Snyder and Wally Joyner were playing baseball, and Rick Aguilera and all these guys, and they're playing in College World Series, and the basketball teams.
Tina Gunn,
with Steve
setting
and
the
Danny, those guys
scoring
are
record.
marching to the Elite Eight, and Tina Gunn.
Tina Gunn,
Good,
come on.
playing
As a
out
woman.
of her mind. Yeah, there was just so much good going on, and then Jim McMahon setting NCAA records, and then Steve Young's taking us to 11-1, then you're taking us to 13-0. We're winning national championships, and BYU's really in the spotlight. It was a magical, magical time. I said to Steve, I feel like we're about to maybe turn the page and do that again. Do you think there's
In
a
all
chance?
sports across the board.
Is that the women's soccer team's ranked number 3 in the country?
I know.
Right now.
Volleyball's number 10.
Volleyball's number 10 on the women's side. The men finished the season ranked, or preseason ranked, for the first time in 20 years in football right now. The basketball team has been good, and we talked to Mark. We had Mark on the show, Mark Pope, just a while ago. He feels like he's just assembled the pieces to really compete over not just necessarily this year, but going into the Big 12 with what they've got coming. Is this the time where it gets back to Camelot? What do you guys think?
Well, I tell you what, it is around BYU. It is super exciting. I mean, here we are, finally. I mean, we've been independent for a lot of years now, and through all those times, we are wanting to get into a conference. I know some people are like, do they not want to do anything? But it's like you have to be invited first, right?
Yeah.
And so it finally comes, and we are super excited across the board in all our sport teams. And nobody's afraid. No one's shying away. And they're just super excited to be playing the Big 12 and week in and week out. And our fans are super excited. So we're ready. This could be
The
it could be
fans
it.
are excited.
Yeah.
Or I would say the audience is waiting.
The audience is ready. Well said.
Steve Baker, she
Steve,
says,
he said, that's
what
like
a great audience. She goes,
finger-
these are fans, Marie.
Fingernails on a chalkboard.
All right, here's the final question in our last couple of minutes for the two of you, for Robbie and Marie. And we're so grateful to have both of you here and have you here for as long as you've been able to be here with us tonight. But describe what it is like to step under center for the first play of a game where you can win the national championship if you win the game. What the feeling is like to do that. And Marie, what the feeling is like when you step out on stage before you belt out that first note and you see thousands of people that have paid money to come see you, what that feeling is like. Because I don't think, that's why we all want to be rock stars, because none of us know how it feels. But we imagine it's probably pretty cool. So you're a rock star, a national champion of football.
And I'm a quarterback?
And you're a rock star who's a little bit country.
Should I sing a little bit?
What, do you want to? Oh no.
No, don't
Do
encourage
you
it.
guys? Can we, DJ, get ready to pod this
I'm a
thing
little
down?
bit quarterback.
Get him ready to pod this thing down as soon as
Do
Robbie
it,
starts
try
singing.
it. I dare you. And go ahead.
I'm a little bit rock and roll.
I love it.
Cannot sing.
Yes, he's got
I don't have it in me at all.
that.
No.
Donnie's going to be on the
That's
line here
awesome.
any
Yeah.
minute.
He would sing with me. Robbie would sing with me in the dorms.
All right,
It's
what
so
did it feel like?
Okay, so I'm going to go through the Michigan game a little bit. And so, Michigan game, coming up to the Michigan game, we're 12-0. And the feeling is if we don't win this game, we're going to be like a dozen other BYU football teams. We're not going to stand out anyway. We're 12-1. It was a great year, yada, yada. So in our minds as players, we had to win this football game. It meant that much to us. So the stands were packed. Jack Murphy Stadium, probably my favorite away place to ever play a game of football, was packed. Reporters all on the sidelines, in the end zone, and everything like that. We go out there, getting a good start to the game. I get hurt. I throw a pass to cause out to the left side. A guy rolls up on my leg.
Wasn't it that weasel Mike Hammerstein?
Yep. And my foot gets caught in the turf, and he just keeps rolling. So, I'm thinking, yeah, that hurts, but I'll get up. So I tried to get up. I couldn't get up. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. This is the first quarter still. And so they brought me in the locker room, and then Blaine took over for two or three series.
Yeah.
Did a great job. Didn't do anything that was going to hurt our team, and just moved it, controlled the ball, and stuff like that. So I'm in the locker room, and the doctors are looking at me and taping me up and everything, and I'm like, They go, you want a shot? You want some pain medication? I said, no, I can't. I mean, I'm okay. I feel okay, but I want to be able to have a clear mind, you know, going out there and playing. So I'm walking down the tunnel to get to the field, and I felt more of a superstar right here because I met my dad halfway.
Yeah.
And my dad wasn't that kind of person. He would stay up in the seats. He would stay behind the fence at practice until LaBelle said, Louis, come out here. So that meant a lot to me. And then it was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced. When you come out of the tunnel, then as you step on the field, and it was as if all the fans were looking down there, kind of waiting. And then I stepped out there, and it was awesome.
Something like
The cheers went up. So, I mean, I'm feeling good. Start warming up, doing some drops, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can do it. I can't really plant very good on my leg. And they taped it up super tight. So I had a high ankle sprain, some ligament stuff to my knee, and a cracked rib there. And when I say there, my rib.
yeah, that's where a rib is.
That's where the ribs are.
That's where his rib
Thanks,
is.
doctor.
So anyway, so I'm like, so then Marv, our trainer, tapes me up again and tapes me up.
What, with like duct tape? What do they got? What's holding you together at this point?
It's just tape. It's tape from the bottom of my ankle all the way up to my knee, and I go, just go as tight as you can so I can try to move around. So finally I go, this isn't going to get any better. I got to get into the game. So I go over to Mike Holmgren, who was our quarterback coach and doing the plays. I'm like, I'm ready. He looked at me like, no. I'm like, yeah, I'm going in. So I ran in. I go, Blame, let's go. Sorry.
Twice this happened to me. Steve
You
did
got
it
the
once
hook.
too. Steve did
Yeah,
it once to
I
me
know.
too in the Ohio State game. Like, what are you doing out here right now?
So the great thing is I got in the huddle, and I could just feel it. I could feel the look in all my teammates' eyes that here we go. Let's go. And so that was a feeling that I've never experienced.
Yeah.
And then, boy, we made some crazy mistakes in that game. And in fact, one time, Dog and Steve used to do our games. So I threw a pass to Cause, and it hits them, bounces up in the air, and they pick it off. And Steve was crazy. If you go, I want to watch games with Steve and me quarterbacking. He was just not very nice to me. He just like, oh yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that read by Robbie. Oh, I don't know. So then he goes.
He was playing in the USFL in the spring.
Right, so he was
would
back
come
to do
help
games.
do our games. He's calling our games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't like Steve doing our games.
No.
He loves doing them.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
He's like one of the best now.
He knew what he was talking about, though. That really made
And
us mad.
so he's like, oh, not a good pass by Robbie. Threw it behind him. You know, I don't know if he can go out there. They show the play in slow motion, and Cos goes like this. Boom. Bounces up. Steve goes, oh, that was a pretty good pass. Thank you, slow
Thank you,
motion.
Steve.
Thank you, television.
Steve.
Maybe play
And
playback.
So, yeah. And so, you know, we made some mistakes. There were times where, man, I don't know if we're going to beat these guys. And then it came down to we're down by a touchdown under, I'm not sure the exact time, 5 minutes to go in the game. And we have to drive 88 yards one time. That was the pass to Cause. And then we get the ball back, and we're going down, and we're just kind of picking them apart, moving down. The game's tied,
Yep, 17-0.
17-all, and now the thought is, do we leave it in the foot of Lee Johnson? And I said, no, we
way.
don't. We're not.
Can't trust the kicker.
I mean, you
ever.
got to.
Now, Lee Johnson was really good, but I get it.
Lee Johnson was great, but it wasn't Lee Johnson. I have no problem with Lee Johnson. It's the snap. It's the hold.
Yeah.
It's the
Can't
kick.
trust the kick ever.
It is just. there's
Mark
a-
Wilson made that mistake in the 79
Yeah.
Holiday Bowl.
And so there's a lot of pressure on that too, right? There's a lot of pressure. So a tie, we're 12-0-1. No extra sudden death in college football
Right.
then.
Right.
So we're just a regular team. So we're going to go down and try to win this game. So call a play, Kelly Smith, it's like 3rd and 3. Kelly Smith's supposed to come out of the backfield and just hook up where I can give him the ball on the first down. The 2 guards get beat, and then I step up. They get hands on me, but they can't get me.
He's Houdini.
Too
It
elusive.
was all those squats.
Too elusive on one leg.
Gosh.
I may have been one of the strongest
Both of 'em?
squats guys on the team.
All the squats you did, both of them.
Did you
the
say
squats you
squat?
did?
Squat?
Squats, like lifting weights. He said he did
I
a lot
know,
of squats.
I'm teasing him.
Twice he did
So,
squats.
anyways, we
None
do
of
that.
that's confirmed. Go ahead.
I step up in the pocket. Kelly Smith. This is a very long answer for what you asked.
We're just 10 minutes. Go on.
Kelly Smith moves forward like he's supposed to.
Yeah.
See him out of the corner of my eye, make the throw, catch, yada, yada, game over.
Champion.
And so the feeling of on that stage, being able to make the plays when you have to make the plays, our team did it all year long.
Yeah.
There were probably 5 games that year that we could have easily lost, but they stepped up and made plays. And
So that feeling
great.
as you're walking back out of the locker room with the crowd, that rush of he's back. We're gonna go win this game. When you take it over to Marie, for you when you go on stage, whether it's 30,000, 50,000, or Saturday night, will there be 5,000 or 8,000? I'm not sure how many the Sirius show, but it's people that have gone out of their way to wait for you, and then you come out. What is the feeling of being a star? How do you describe that? That what's the rush?
For me,
Yeah,
I don't think that way.
you don't feel it.
I don't think that way. To me, I am honored for them to be there because it's their, like you said, it's their time. Like in Vegas for 11 years, meet and greets, they paid $300 to take a picture with you. And that was not acceptable for me. So I would stay probably 2 hours longer just so that everybody felt they were getting their money's worth, hopefully. But I sincerely love people. I'll never forget one of the first moments where it hit me that the Donnie and Marie show was around the world. This is one of my first time. Well, the first one was doing Paper Roses in New York at the, God, my brain just went dead, the big arena there.
Madison Square Gardens.
Yeah. That was crazy. But this was, we were over in Europe and we were doing our world tour. And we landed, I think it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And there were thousands of people waiting at the airport to just wave. And it just got my heart. And so every time I step on a stage, I am honored, whether it's 50 people or whether, because there are celebrities that just will cancel a show. I'm like, why? Yeah. These people celebrities that are late and starting and things like that, I think that says I'm more important than you. And for me, they are the most important. And they don't care if you're sick. I've done shows exactly, I've been throwing up. One show I passed out, Donnie covered for me, I went back out. You do what you got to do to get the show done, because they don't care if you're sick. They don't care if you're limping. They don't care. They want to see you. Yeah. And they want you to make them feel better for that hour and a half or whatever it is. So to me, it's the honor of it. It's humbling to step, like you said, you step out of that into the crowd, and they start getting, it's just like, whoa. Because I think there's no difference in anybody. I believe that we are all the same, and we just have different jobs. And, whether it's a few people or the people around you at work or your team or whatever it is, my crew, my band, as the quarterback, you do exactly the same thing, is we keep it a we thing and never a me thing. And the audience is the biggest component in that for me. I mean, I don't know if that answers it.
Yeah, it's like you're the medicine.
Exactly.
Just recently with his album, I've been doing some shows. Not a lot. I've been actually, first time in my life, I'm spending time with my sweetheart, because we lost 25 years together. I asked him, what's what causes a successful marriage? He says, stay apart for 25 years. But the shows that I have been doing, and I'm doing a huge Christmas tour and things like that, I get these things from people that say, I came here depressed. I read your Sunday messages or whatever like that on social. And I knew that if I saw the show, I would feel better, and I did. that's music, that's the medicine. And we need that right now more
Yep.
than ever. We need sports. We need anything we can to pull people out of the last 2 years, because I don't believe in fear. I will never live in that place, you know.
Marie released her first recorded solo, Paper Roses, in August this month of 1973, which was just the other day.
Isn't that crazy?
Hit number 1 a few weeks after her 14th birthday, which
No,
was just
13th.
the other
I
day.
recorded it 12 and a half.
Or
I was-
13th birthday.
See, I have to correct his stats.
Yep.
Yeah,
No.
Wikipedia's
But the
all
stat
over
does
the
remain
place.
that it's the youngest overall solo artist to reach number 1 on Billboard's Hot Country.
I still hold
chart.
that record.
Still holds
Ever.
that.
Ever.
Be at the
Very
Shell Saturday night, the Orem Syrah Shell, 8 o'clock. Tickets along the hillside grass. There are still a few left at syrah.org, SCERA.org. You can also buy at the door if there's any remaining. She'll also be in Lincoln City, Oregon, September 9th and 10th at the Chinook Winds Casino. And boy, we're just honored to have you here.
You're so sweet.
So
Did I say all that right?
But isn't it true how similar? It's a very similar world, and I do love sports. I love it, and it's an honor. You guys, seriously, this was so much
This
fun.
is great. So I think, what do you think, Blaine? I think, well, let's ask Robbie, because this was a tester
To see if she could
to
interview
see if she
and help
could
us.
become a regular on the show by how this interview went with you.
Oh, for sure.
Felt pretty good about it.
But I would just let her do her own questions.
Yes, please.
Steve's questions were bogus.
So you wouldn't like any more of Steve's?
No.
More of Marie's?
No, just Marie's were really good.
Well, all right. So
Steve's questions were bogus.
you've got a
Let it
standing
be written.
invitation on our show.
What's with the Barbie doll?
Marie, I don't.
There's a
Sorry,
lot of
I'm done.
unanswered
we
questions
need to go,
here.
Probably.
I don't know.
There's a lot of unanswered questions.
What's with the baby in the diaper? What's it?
Okay.
It's just a eclectic collection of BYU stuff. Is
Oh.
what
Yeah,
it is.
that's what it is.
So if you just kind of look around, and she found a place on my mic stand, there she is.
I'm so sorry.
So
Every week
I
we
just ignore it.
we end this show every week with a quote from Lavelle Edwards. And then, Blaine, before you read that, we want to say next week, Air Force pilot Major Clark Heyman and musician Caleb Chapman will be here. Caleb's going to play Rise and Shout on his saxophone.
Cool.
August 30th, Brandon Doman and BYU's new women's head basketball coach, Amber Whiting. And once we get into September, Will Snowden, Brian Keel, golf coach Kerry Roberts, former linebacker Brandon Ogletree, baseball coach Trent Pratt, Dan Forsman, 5-time PGA Tour winner with a very unique BYU story. He'll be here along with Ed Eyestone. So that's all coming up.
Well, and I think in September we'll get Steve on. But when Steve Young comes,
Oh, I'll be here.
I'm gonna let Marie
Can
and,
I-
and
can I
Robbie.
write the questions?
Marie
Oh,
and
yeah.
Robbie
Or you can
I will
zoom
have
in
some
wherever you're at in the world. Just
we'll
zoom
get
in.
Steve on and we'll zoom him
I'll
in.
zoom.
We
and
won't
they
even
can
tell
ask
him you're
questions.
coming on. We just pop you
I'll
on.
do it.
I've got a few questions I'd like to
Oh,
ask.
I'm sure you do.
Will you write me some questions for him?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll do it when we bring Steve on for sure.
And it's
so-
interesting that Steve is all about this quote
we
tonight.
thought since I talked to Steve this week and he gave us some questions for Rob just for fun. Those were all for fun, of course. But Lavelle, he said this about Marie's good friend Steve Young. He said, "Here's a guy that is really a talent. He's the best athlete we've ever had. He could run. He developed into a good thrower. He's smart. He's intense. He could make it in the movies. Really, he's got it all. He was coachable, but he had his own ideas. He never let up, not even in practice. I'd take Steve Young every year," is what Lavelle said about
That's
all of our
sweet.
friends Steve Young.
That's sweet.
So, yep.
And yet he took you bowling.
Yes, he did, and I loved it. I had the best
Did
time.
you beat him?
He spent $1.40
I tried
on
to
your game.
lose, okay?
I tried to
No.
lose.
I had a great time.
Well,
Robbie Bosco, national champion, and Marie Osmond, international superstar on the Wise Guys. The podcast will be up tomorrow, and you can get it wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, ysguys.com will have this show up all the time.
Yep, you can get it, and can they get it on? They can go get it on YouTube as well. So you can just go get the entirety of the show on YouTube.
Yeah.
You
But-
know what? Tell me the link. I'll post it on my
Okay,
social.
we'll
yeah,
do it.
we'll
We'll
send
do
that
it.
to you.
But
Be
but
fun.
basically, your link to anything, just go to ysguys.com. You can find the podcast and wherever you find your podcast. But if you want, there's links there to the YouTube channel and all of that, and you can watch the whole thing as many times as you want, or you can take it in chapters on podcasts. So.
Best of luck to you Saturday night.
You guys, seriously,
Yes.
thank you. This has been
So glad
much
to have
fun.
the two of you in. It was fun reminiscing, even before the show. Loved it.
Yeah, we'll see you at practice on Thursday. And we're back next week for an all-new Wise Guys. Thank you. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you later.
So fun, you guys. Thank you. Was
Just the
okay?
best.
Was it okay?